Good morning, kids. It's hump day. And you're in the place to be. Sorry, we're a little late. We had some technical difficulties. It seems like
We
there must have
did
been a
indeed. Don't you just
StreamYard
love
update.
updates?
Yeah, it must have
Yeah.
been that doesn't want to work with Opera. So we figured it out. We're here.
Yeah.
Good
One
morning.
change of browser later, we're here. After sorting through everything else, that is what was required. But yeah, sorry about that. We're here now. So, Tom,
Yes.
how's it going?
Well, we had a bit of a laugh yesterday with the whole Star Trek 25% different thing, as you saw in our little intro there.
Yeah, I saw. So for everyone that didn't see, Tom posted that video on Midnight's Edge After Dark.
It's a very good video.
Yeah, which of course, like the 25% different, that's something of a Midnight's Edge classic, as we were the ones to first popularize that.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is I think now they're finally admitting it because they think it's probably far enough away that if they finally tell the truth, nobody will correlate the two. That's what I think is going on. Kind of like the same thing with what's going on with Discovery. Don't you agree a little bit, Andre? Oh, he's muted, so I can say he could probably agree with. Oh, there you're back.
Yeah, I'm back again. What was that?
I was going to say I think the only reason they're mentioning it now is because I think they believe it's been plenty long enough since we reported it that they can finally admit the truth and that nobody will remember the two.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah,
I think that like most people know 25% different.
But not only that, I think it's a lot like the other story we're working on right now with the Netflix deal and everything like that. How they're just kind of, what's the word, obfuscating? Is that kind of what I'm looking for?
Obfuscating, yeah.
Yeah, where they're like, oh yeah, we bought it back, and we're bringing it back home, and then they give it away for free.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Nobody wanted it. Newsflash. We were telling you guys this 6 months ago. Netflix is out.
We were telling you a year and a half ago.
Or a year and a half ago. Yeah, months ago. That's all I know. I don't remember last time we did a Star Trek video.
It's easily 6 months since last we did a Star Trek video, but like we're talking. Speaking of Star Trek, just to give a mild spoiler, we have a huge Star Trek video coming quite soon about the detailed machinations behind why international audiences can no longer see Star Trek Discovery on Netflix, and that's something that we kind of broke a year and a half ago.
Yeah, and then I love their excuses. They're, like you said, they're trying to bring it back, buy it back, because they bought back the first 3 seasons too. And it's like, they're getting gung ho behind the whole reason why they started Discovery in the first place. For those who remember, as we pointed out, was to push the now dead CBS All Access. Yeah. Well, if this is true, then why aren't they going after Picard, Andre? Because I mean, Picard is a much bigger property, arguably.
Yeah, you'd think so. I can think of 2 reasons.
Bullshit.
One, bullshit. That's a big reason. The other is that Picard isn't about to premiere just yet. But if they were going to buy it back, now would definitely be the time. And I know for certain that Amazon would be very, very happy to let it go.
Yeah, but I think they signed on for a 3-year deal or some shit like that.
Yeah, they did.
But again, like I said, the difference between Netflix and the Amazon deal is Picard, even though it wasn't very well received, did actually get watched. Like, it actually had people watching it. So I think at one point we figured it, at most it had around 4 million people watching it in the US, I think it was. Which isn't great ratings at all. So don't be like, oh wow, that's a lot of people. No, not really.
Yeah.
It's better than Batwoman numbers, but
absolutely. And just to address Will Bloom's comments real quick here, he says, one of those channels that tear you and comment on down claim that Star Trek Discovery is a success. And yeah, well, if it was that successful, then how come they can't even give it away? How come they have to take it back from Netflix, only to instantly drop it for free on Pluto TV internationally?
Yeah.
Because that's the only way they can monetize.
Need I also remind you that these same individuals were claiming up and swearing up and down and down and up and up and down that there was no 25% different anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's why that's
how long that lasted.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I love their excuses for it, but it's like, no, we know the real excuses. And I know Sander made the joke about, okay, so if it was 25% different before and they add another 25%, would that make it 50%? No, basically they're just finally, I know you're joking, Sander, but they're just finally admitting that it's 25% different, which is funny that they even said that it was 25% different because That is so on the fucking nose with everything. It's almost like like I said, the joke writes itself. That's all I had to do to make that video. It was pretty simple. There was
Yeah.
no real.
Well, we'll put it into a larger Star Trek video one of these days.
Oh, I'm
but the
sure.
next one coming, which I don't know exactly when it's going to be. We can hope
Next few days,
tomorrow. Next few days. Next few days. As soon as we get the audio.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we have almost 400 watching us.
Like.
Everyone, smash that like for technical issues.
Yeah.
And we have a couple of super chats already on top of Star Trek. Michael Miller says for 35 South African runs, Pluto is unavailable in Africa and East Asia. Also, Star Trek Discovery Season 4 is on Amazon UK, but you buy each episode for $3. Huh? Yeah, that would be one of the other deals that they made.
Because we get those kind of deals here, like a lot of shows you can buy straight through Amazon. Like that's what kind of pissed me off is I paid for the season of Chucky through Amazon because I don't have regular TV, and then they went and dropped it on Peacock last week. It's like, you bastards.
Well, that's one of the risks, aren't there? And while we're on Super Chat, Deleted Scenes also says, hail, Andre, Tom, fellow mods, because Deleted Scenes is a mod now, and chat. So yes, indeed, hail one, hail all.
And I just want to say on that, I think I remember right when Star Trek Discovery first even started, you could buy them episode by episode on Amazon as well here. It's just a typical like thing they do. It's the only way they can make money, because Lord knows they ain't making it any other way. But yeah, I can't wait till that video comes out, because this has just been like you say, there is no Freudian like Schadenfreude.
Exactly. And here's a question for you, Tom. Spider Unlimited wonders for $10. 4K UHD question. I've been downloading/purchasing my movies in 4K/UHD. Do the downloads actually make a difference from the standard HD copies, or are they just blowing smoke?
Well, I'm surprised you're able to download them, depending on where you're downloading them from. Again, it varies from service to service. All the services I've used, though, you can only kind of like temporary download the file, and you have to use the proprietary app to watch it. As far as like, because here's the thing, a 4K file, like Andre actually has, like, what do you got, a Plex server or something like that? You got what do you call it?
Cody.
Yeah, he's got a Kodi service. So like basically he just rips all the files from his movies and loads them up there. Now, if you were to rip a 4K movie, the movie would be anywhere from 50 to damn near 100 gigabytes.
Yeah, or typically around 80 gigabytes is like usual. Yeah.
Yeah, so like compared
but you can get them down to like 10 gigabytes, because here's the thing, it all depends on the bit rate.
Yeah, and the thing is,
and a bitrate heavy high definition file, like a 1080 file, which is say 15 to 20 megabytes, is frequently
gigabytes,
better.
You mean?
Yeah, gigabytes. Yeah. It's frequently better than a 4K file that is 10 gigabytes. Because it all depends on the bit rate. It all depends on the compression.
Yeah, and if you're talking about actual streaming, this is something I've run into and we've talked about on 4K for you too, because there's a lot of movies where they're just releasing them in 4K on streaming only, and not on disc. And in those cases, it's pretty comparable. Like the Blu-ray looks almost as good as the 4K streaming version because of the compression. You get the HDR, which does make a little bit of difference, but out of the handful of movies that I've bought like that, you're better off just having the hard copy if you can, and you can rip those, and you're just gonna have to get yourself like set up for that. But as far as like, yeah, I'd have to know where you're downloading them from, because any place I know where you download them from, they're still compressed as fuck. Like, because I downloaded a couple files to my Vudu app just to check them out, and the high def files and the 4K files were still really, really small. And it's like, okay, there's no way those are in true bit rate, or however Andre was putting it, to where they were actually giving us the actual high definition look. Because
Exactly.
I compared like the Arrow 4K remaster on standard Blu-ray of RoboCop up against the 4K one that's on digital, and I'd say that in that case the Blu-ray actually looks better because there's no compression, and the compression causes a bunch of digital noise in the other version. So it's kind of a pick and choose your poison kind of thing. My suggestion for you though would be to probably set yourself up to where you could just rip your own files. What do you think, Andre? Probably.
Absolutely. I would recommend that. Have a
Yeah.
disc and rip it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But the best
And
thing you're going to get is physical media. Like, nothing is going to beat that.
yeah. But if there's more you want to ask, stop on by later today and we will talk some more about that. And did we get this one already from Zontar? Otherwise, I think we skipped it accidentally.
That's the next one.
Okay, well, yeah, unless you're going, I don't know what order you're going in because this was actually before Spider Unlimited's, but all right, just so we didn't miss it. Every MCU D plus show and movie in 2021 has lost money, says Zontar. Well, I don't know about the losing money on the, Disney Plus technically is a loss leader at this point. So yeah, you're probably right there. There's an argument to be made for Shang-Chi because it did do very well domestically, according to them. I don't know if you caught the little joke there. But,
If we ignore all attempts at fortification, that one is doing pretty okay.
yeah.
But the MCU show, or sorry, the Disney Plus shows, that's a different
Not so
matter.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's like the thing though, that any kind of like a TV series on a streaming service, they are just one part of the overall package. So it's very difficult to say that one series lost or earned money, because they didn't. The measure of success really is how many new subscribers did it bring. And just basing from the viewings numbers that we can kind of derive from Samba TV and elsewhere, it would appear, based on the decreasing number of viewers, that these shows probably aren't bringing in the kind of new subscribers that would be required for them to qualify as successful. But in terms of money, that's a
yeah.
different matter.
What's funny is the streaming services are kind of set up in a way to where they would benefit the customer as far as, how I'm sure you have a handful, just like everybody else, of shows that were canceled way before their time. And you're like, motherfucker, I just got in that show and they canceled it and they left it on the
Don't even remind me. I'm still
Exactly.
traumatized
Like,
for
I'm
some
sure
of
there's
them.
tens of dozens of shows, if not most people have.
Well, just a couple in my case, but those still hurt.
Exactly. Like, and I see the way that this system is set up, it should almost like those kind of things shouldn't happen anymore, right? Like anything that is truly, really popular. Like, here's an example. Like I was gonna say, like if let's say all of a sudden, like back in the 60s, Netflix actually existed. I don't think Star Trek would have got canceled.
Oh
Is my
no,
point.
definitely not, because they would have had the metrics to see that, yeah,
Exactly.
this one is bringing in the viewers. But remember, this is what we actually predicted years ago.
Yeah.
That with the streaming wars, everyone is going to go for some kind of genre property,
Yep.
and they may do the adaptation fine, or sometimes not so fine, but in any event, if it's on the wrong platform, it's going to fail for that very reason.
Yep. And I see what you did. You went backwards. So okay. What did we have? You got the next one ready?
Yeah, next one is from Crazy Diamond.
All
Who
right.
says for $4.99, Dark Greetings. How do you think Disney should handle the X-Men TV series or movies, or leave it alone to die?
Well, we
That's
already
a
have
good
some
question.
answers. We know what they're doing with the television side of things. They're revamping the 90s series and supposedly picking up where it left off. But the more and more we hear about it, there's a lot more people who are like
Well,
cringing at the thought.
to be clear, that is the animated series you're talking
Yes.
about, and not the MCU X-Men
No,
proper.
we haven't got to that yet. That I'm just talking about the TV side of things. Now, as far as the MCU side, we have no fucking clue what they're going to do yet. We can take some guesses, because it takes like 2-3 years to get this shit planned. And when Kevin Feige said it was going to be about a couple of years before they worked in the Fantastic Four and X-Men into the MCU. He wasn't lying, because it's going to take that long just to kind of work them into the story at this point. And they've had to revamp everything they're doing right now, once or twice already.
Oh yeah, and now when they have a new boss in Bob Chapek, who's, if anything, going to be empowered by Susan Arnold, the new chairman of the board, I would not wholly discount the possibility that Kevin Feige will be asked to revamp again.
And I'm going to stick with my old prediction as far as the movie side of X-Men goes. I think they're going to sprinkle in some characters in other movies, and then eventually they're going to kind of give them a proper film. My question now, as opposed to if you asked me like 2 years ago, how are they going to handle this? Because they've been pulling the multiverse stuff in. We've been hearing a shit ton of rumors about Hugh Jackman coming back. So, I mean, that might even lead us into our first story this morning, some scoops from Mikey Sutton. But yeah, there's been a lot of that kind of talk. So I'm curious to see, because I've said it time and time again, unless they turn around and make the big mistake of trying to make Wolverine and gender swap into the X-23 character, which I wouldn't be surprised if they did. No, whoever they pick to play Wolverine is going to have the hardest time in the world. I feel sorry for whoever it is, because they're never going to live up to it. They're going to be that guy, the guy who tried to do it after Hugh Jackman, and and I know it sucks, but like that's where I think they're at this point where they're just like, yeah, we're going to use Hugh for a few more movies probably, as long as he's game and he looks good. Yeah. And they'll probably pay him a buttload of money. What do you think, Andre? How do you think they're going to introduce the X-Men?
Suicide Squad Joker all over again. That's what
I'm thinking. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Great example.
Yeah, no, what I think.
Even if they're good, I don't think it's going to matter, right? Like,
you know what I think they should do with the X-Men? This is not what I've heard. This is just what I think. If I was running things over there with the X-Men, I would divide it up between event movies, and between the movies, push the story forward in character-based series.
Right.
So for instance, you started off with a Cyclops series that is followed by a Jean Grey series that leads into an X-Men movie, and then the stories continued in the Wolverine series. And from there you get into the Jubilee series, and then another huge events movie, and then you go into Colossus story, and you basically push the forward, interchanging between that way. So you have like event movie and story pushed forward in character series. That's what I would do. What are they what they're going to do? I can't really say. I don't think anyone can. I don't even think that they know. I think that that's one thing that's probably likely to change. We haven't even heard rumors. We have heard rumors about the Fantastic Four, but not so much the X-Men. Beyond them,
just the
wanting to, just a huge Hugh Jackman thing. So I look forward to next week to the Spider-Man movie, and we'll see what happens with that. But the only thing that we've heard before was that Victoria Alonso, she wanted to retire the title the X-Men, because that's problematic. She wanted to call them the Mutants instead. Yes. And since then, she has been promoted up to a higher position, where she has been moved away from development. I do not think that they will be allowed to ditch the title and the brand name, the X-Men. Defeats the whole purpose of having them back if you don't call them the X-Men.
Does, but these are not sensible people.
Well,
you got to remember that.
This will kind of like be the final test on if the new people running the show, if they are sensible people, or if the madhouse is still being run by the inmates.
Well, I think you're right at this point that the people in charge now probably wouldn't let such things happen, but I was not wholly unconvinced, and I tried to warn people about her, 2 years ago? Because I've been saying this for a while, because what you just said is what I was telling people. There was shit like in the office. They were not allowed to call them the X-Men.
She's been dreadful, and we can totally tell that with what's happening right now on screen. That's influenced by Victoria Alonso.
To me between some of the other stuff that was going on at the time, and they said that around the office, they are not allowed to refer to the X-Men outside as the X-Men. They have to refer to them as the mutants or by their each individual character names because of the
And then
fucking
they also
bullshit.
have to add their pronouns afterwards, I wager.
Yeah, I don't know about that part, but like that was the whole thing. And then they were insinuating that this individual, what was her name? Alonzo or whatever it?
And Victoria Alonso.
Victoria Alonso, like, yeah, that she was dead set on stripping away the X-Men part of it. Like X-Force, those kind of things were fine. But she was insisting they start calling the X-Men mutants. And I think the whole reason that Stan Lee didn't pick that kind of, I think he wanted to go with that name to begin with, but he couldn't copyright that or something like that, if I remember the story correctly. But so he's like, oh, they got extra powers, so I'll call them the X-Men. Nobody knows what a mutant. Oh, that's what it was. Nobody knows what a mutant was at that time. That's I think they told him. Nobody knows what a mutant is.
Well, X-Men is a better title anyway.
Yeah, it clearly is. Then Spider Unlimited is letting me know their Amazon purchases. I haven't messed with Amazon too much. Let me if I get some time between now and 4K for you, Spider, today, I'll try and download a movie or two and check it out and see how it works, and I'll give you my best assessment. That's the best I can do for you, because I think I've tried downloading from Amazon before, but I remember it's kind of the same thing as Voodoo. They're really
that would be a good topic for 4K for you one of these days.
Yeah, well, I'll try and get to it today. I mean, we do have a few things to talk about this afternoon already, so, but I'll definitely test it at some point.
And Amazon actually do have some HD versions of movies that
you
I've
got
can't
4K.
Get anywhere else.
I've got some 4K versions and some HD versions, and between Voodoo and Amazon, you're right, Andre, because it's weird because there's some titles that Voodoo has in HD that aren't on Amazon in HD. They're only in standard def, and vice versa, which is really fucking weird. But anyhow, I'll try and test that for you today, Spider Unlimited. If not, I'll definitely keep it in mind for next week's show if I can't get to it today. So I think with that, though, it's time to get into some of these scoops that you were telling me about.
Yes, indeed. Now, to those that do not recall, Mikey Sutton, he is someone whose scoops we have been reporting on for the past year and a half, 2 years, I want to say.
Roughly,
and his track record, at least, I know that before it's been a little bit mixed, but of the things that we have chosen,
especially when it comes to Marvel.
Yeah, his Marvel, DC, and also, let's not forget, Kathleen Kennedy. It was his scoop that Kathleen Kennedy was going to be renewed, and we were the very first ones to disseminate that information, even before he published it on Geekosity, because he gave it to us as exclusive. And that was, very few saw that coming, and that panned out perfectly. So yeah, his scoops, they should be taken quite seriously, because his track record is just getting better and better. And of the things that we have chosen to cover past year and a half, I would say that he's batting 100%.
I can't pretty close. I don't know about if he's not batting 1,000, he's definitely batting an 800 or so in that region.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have used a baseball, considering I.
No, but you're not wrong. I mean, it's a pretty good analogy, because in baseball, even a guy who hits more than 500, that's fucking good, right? That means when they're up to bat, more than half the time they hit the ball and get a run. So, like in this case, I would say Mikey's in that 700 to 800 batting range. That's fucking awesome. That's like big super duper level, kind of like mega star level. So yeah, his scoops have been pretty dead on. Like, and he fed us some of the stuff before he kind of went out to other places with a lot of the, the Spider-Man scoops, the Batman scoops, all that stuff. So like, I'm willing to trust most of what he says, or take it with a very, very, very tiny grain of salt in comparison to some of the other shit.
You should always take things with a grain of salt, but it's a matter of how big a grain of salt. And when it comes from him,
Paulie, you should know 500 in baseball is pretty goddamn good. Actually, yeah. See, like Darren said, over 300 is awesome. Yeah, if you can guarantee a guy can hit at least 1 out of 3 out of 10 times when he's up to bat, that's pretty fucking good. Anyway, sorry, that's baseball talk. Let's get off the sports ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's bring up the story, because we have multiple stories today. But let's bring up the main. Or
am I
story
doing it backwards?
First.
Maybe Paulie's correcting me, because maybe am I doing it backwards? Because I'm not a sports guy. Maybe it's the other way around. Yeah.
We
Okay,
don't
so
have
like,
baseball in Norway, so I have no
yeah,
clue.
okay, so never mind. Yeah, the higher the count, the worse you are, right? Okay, yeah, 300. Okay, never mind. I knew what I meant, but I said it the wrong way. Thank you
So
for
it's like in
correcting me,
golf,
Polly.
then it's supposed to be lower.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, cool.
All right.
I
Well,
should
let's get
use that
Paul in here because he
information
knows more
whenever.
about sports than I do. Anyway,
Yeah,
put you in the
Paulie, come
sports
on, join
analogy.
us.
Yeah, since nobody else wants to be up. Let's see here. Where's Paulie at? My thing here. My Twitter. Oh, it's been so quiet the last few days, Andre. I don't know what to do.
Oh, yeah, it's been so. Nothing's been going on at Twitter, has it?
Not a damn thing. It's been so quiet. Every time I go over there, I don't have a 70 plus more fucking responses and tweets and retweets. Anyway, no, you're correct that the one isn't ever bad. That 500 carry on. Okay. Okay. Well, you come on in, Paul. You can correct me, please, because I'm not a sports guy at all, and I'm not even going to pretend to be. So, like, I barely understand sports. So the only reason I know some things is because my dad used to do a lot of sports stuff. So, and that barely rubbed off on me. So, anyhow, moving into the scoops, Andre.
Yeah, you brought in something about by pure osmosis. But yes, can you bring up the Geekosity story on screen?
Do you got
From the
link
private
for me?
chat.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, the Avengers one.
Yeah,
Or
that's the one.
or you wanted
That's
the
the
Done a
one.
Geek one first?
No, let's do the
Okay.
Geekosity one.
Gotcha. All right. We'll go, yeah. And I see Valiant's in the chat too. I'm going to send him the link if he's not busy.
No, he's busy. I already.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's busy working. So, but he's listening, and that's awesome.
Awesome.
So everyone, go check out our good friend.
And we do have Paulie with us now, though. Hey, Paulie, how you doing?
Hey, Paulie, how's it going?
Great. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you loud and through a mobile phone by the sounds of it.
Yeah. I'm in the house, but I'm so I'm on dog duty.
No worries,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, no worries.
You can't hang in there, but yeah.
Yeah. But hey, feel free to join.
So correct me on the sports analogy. I'm doing the wrong numbers, am I?
No, you're actually not. I was just saying that no one has ever batted 500.
Okay, so I'm 500. Okay, so instead of 1,000, it's 500. Okay, I got you. All right.
Why? I think like the greatest batter who had the greatest season barely batted 400, and that was Ted Williams.
Okay, all right, yeah, okay.
But you're right. So
I don't think that Tom knows that.
No, I didn't know what he said before. I would have guessed like Babe Ruth or some stupid shit, probably, or Hank Aaron or somebody like that. I would have guessed.
No, those guys didn't have
the greatest
best of averages.
Probably, yeah,
they had good averages, but not like a Ted Williams or.
Right. Well, I know
Rod
who Ted
Carew.
Williams is. I know who those people are, but I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell you whose record has what.
Yeah,
but I was right. It is out of 1,000. Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
It's just that's why the pitchers are so dominant. Is that the hardest thing in sports is to hit the little round ball.
I know, right? Well, and for what it's worth, my dad used to coach like ladies softball and shit, and he used to have me sit there, and I wouldn't do everything, but he taught me how to just do, like, if they would get a hit, I would put the little mark on the thing. Like when I was little, I mean, I could probably look at it now and be like, is this fucking Greek or what? But like, I used to be able to do that shit. Like he just had me sit there and just mark all the little things as they go along. It was like, all right.
Well, it's the one sport that I am religious about, and I'm actually allowed to watch in the house.
Okay,
so no Friday night MMA for you.
We watch MMA together. Absolutely.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah. Romy's a huge.
That's not sports. That's religion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's different. Yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah. No,
Well, we're glad to have you here, Paulie. We're going to talk some Young Avengers, it looks like.
Yeah. Which of course is going to be spun off from the Hawkeye series. Now I know that Tom, you've been following Hawkeye. Paulie, have you seen Hawkeye yet?
I did. I saw the first episode, and I started the second, based on Tom's recommendation.
And how was it?
I really liked it.
I'm surprised
mean-
you considered that a recommendation, but yeah.
Well, I mean, you were on Salty Nerd podcast the other day, and I was
Yeah, I
listening
mean,
to
I
you
didn't
guys.
hate it. I mean, that's the sad part, and a lot of people have agreed, it seems like, with what I was saying, is that of all the series so far, this is the best. But it's not saying
And
a
when
lot. Yeah.
Tom says he doesn't hate it for something like this, that's actually fairly high praise, all in all things considered.
Right, because I'm not necessarily. I
You're not as
like.
critical as I am.
Well, no, well,
Critical in the sense that, like, I hold shit to, like I'll nitpick the fuck out of something compared to you sometimes.
it can be, and yet, the thing with Hawkeye episode 1 is that even though she's a trained martial artist and she was 5, one blow she would have been down. And
Yeah.
because those guys were beating the crap out of her, and she just kept getting up. I'm like,
Didn't I
oh,
say
okay,
something like that on Salty Nerd? I thought I said
you sure
something.
did.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to see it. But she's incredibly likable, which goes a long way. The actor, Haley. Um, again, and so I always think of like likable actors that could play Captain Marvel. I think you're forgiving of a lot when the actor's really good or really appealing. And Hawkeye, is kind of like Jaime Reyes, the Blue Beetle. She's incredibly in awe of the Avengers and of Hawkeye.
Yeah, that was one thing I did like about the show, regardless of some of the verisimilitude problems. And even though Hawkeye kind of is taking, shotgun to her in this series, even though it's got his name on it.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for the fact that I agree with you, like if she wasn't so likable, if she wasn't such a decent actress, we'd probably be complaining a hell of a lot more. Like I think we'd really be bitching more about him being sidelined and stuff. But I think a big part of it is how much she does like look up to him, and she does hold him in such high regards, to the point where he's sitting there putting himself down, and she's like, basically, like, why are you talking like that? You're a fucking Avenger in so many, you know what I mean? Like she's constantly like trying to build him back up, even though he's in this really bad place, obviously. And those kind of things I think help the series, as opposed to where if we had somebody like, you brought up Captain Marvel, where if it was somebody like Brie Larson and she was in this role, I'm sure she would not make it as a likable role, and she would definitely come off in a completely different light, even if she was trying to be positive, just because of the type of person she is.
Yeah, my boy Darth Plato in the chat said Katie Sackhoff, Captain Marvel. Absolutely.
That's what everybody wanted. That's what everybody wanted.
Yeah, man.
If it had been exactly the same movie with Katie Sackhoff instead, it would have gone down better. And also Hailey Steinfeld. She's a major reason why Bumblebee turned out as good as it did.
I got a friend that was in the cinematography team on that movie. So I knew I wanted to see it right away that first weekend, just to like kind of support him in his work. He's also worked on Gemini, Sun. He's with the Ang Lee team now. That was not Ang Lee team, but I'm just saying, my buddy Donald Reynolds, whom I need to check in with, see what he's working on. He's incredibly talented, in that cinematographer team of like these big movies now. And I remember when he was working on Bumblebee, they were all up and down the coast of California. Long story short, I love that film. I thought Haley was great.
I agree. It's the best Transformers movie. It's better than the first one.
I mean, I didn't think the movie was it was good. I wouldn't say it was great, but like she's definitely one of the reasons why it worked. And again, same thing here. I feel like if it was anybody else, it wouldn't work. But to get back to this headline, Andre, weren't we told like a year or two ago that Miss Marvel or whatever was going to be leading the Young Avengers?
Well,
this isn't actually like brand new news, right? Like, yeah, we've heard some talk of Young Avengers for a while.
Miss Marvel is going to be in the Young Avengers. We heard that. But here, We have more details from Mikey Sutton. So I'm going to read the story, and we'll see what is in it. Again, this comes from Mikey Sutton, and you should always use a grain of salt when it comes to like scoops and inside baseball like this. But I'm prepared to use a significantly less amount of salt than usual.
Don't bring up baseball after my fuck up this morning, Jesus.
Well, fine, I'm just using the
I'm
terms that
kidding, of course.
you guys keep on using, but yeah. Anyway, here Sutton says Haley Steinfeld will headline a Young Avengers film for Disney Plus. Insiders reveal Young Avengers is planned for Disney Plus. At this point, it's not set for theatrical release. Marvel Studios doesn't want general audiences confused. So yeah, that's a good thing. So Young Avengers is not the Avengers Part 5, but the Disney Plus Avengers in their own event film then. Whereas the real Avengers is going to continue on the big screen. And he also clarifies the fifth Avengers movie is hotly anticipated. Young Avengers isn't that film. And then he gets into who the members of the Young Avengers will be, some of whom have already been introduced without us knowing or realizing, and others are about to be introduced. What he says is that Haley Steinfeld plays Kate Bishop on Hawkeye. And apparently, from what I understand, the character of Kate Bishop was introduced in the Young Avengers comics, which I've never read, but I understand that's the case, so that's awesome. And she will be the leader of the Young Avengers. In addition, there's going to be Patriot, played by Elijah Richardson, who has already been in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And another member is going to be Kid Loki, who appeared in the Loki series, played by Jack Veal. And there's another, more members. Others who will appear there are Wiccan and Speed, the kids of Scarlet Witch from WandaVision. Exactly how that's going to happen, who knows, but they'll be there. Miss Marvel is going to be there, played by Iman Vellani, who will be in the upcoming Miss Marvel series. Now, that's a series that we have heard indicated from Kamran Pasha probably isn't going to be any good. But Miss Marvel is going to be in the Young Avengers anyway. And regardless of what happened with the series, they seem confident that Iman Vellani is going to be a rising star. And the other members of the team are going to have theatrical roots. There's Catherine Newton, who will be Stature, character I do not know. But she will play Cassie Lang in the upcoming Ant-Man, the Wasp, and the Wasp Quantumania. So basically the daughter of Ant-Man, recast from Avengers Endgame.
Because she's already grown, right?
Yeah,
At least
she was
like
already
a teenager
grown.
or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, because she didn't blip.
Is Riri Williams going to be there, though? Dr. Meatball's curious.
Don't think so. The final thing comes from Small Screen, and they revealed that Alex A.J. Gardner is going to be Iron Lad. So Iron Lad is going to be there. Don't know about
what about Riri?
Riri, no, she gets her own series, apparently. I mean, that's not filmed yet. What we have heard is that Bob Chapek was quite critical of that idea. So maybe that's one of the things that might suddenly face some resistance from higher up before production happens.
It wasn't. I
don't
think you were on. Yeah, it wasn't this stream. I fixed Riri Williams. I made her likable-ish. At least the chat was with me. Instead of making her a thief who steals Iron Man's tech, just make her a young girl who needed a new heart, and Tony gave her a heart much like his. And then when she gets older, she finds out, oh, it can power Iron Man suits.
See, that's
So she
better
already
right
knows
away.
him. Huh?
Oh, they see, that's better right away.
Yeah, and it goes right with the name, Ironheart. Ding, ding, ding. How did you not think of that to begin with? Oh, because that would make Tony a nice guy. Shit.
Yeah, I can't have that because he's a white man.
And actually a legacy character. And this is from somebody who fucking hates legacy characters, mind you. But I almost find that to be kind of like a sweet story, right? You know, like,
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on with this stuff because Paulie will
Yeah.
be back, kids. He's switching over to his computer.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, that is pretty much it for the Young Avengers team, which, according to Mikey Sutton's sources, then is planned and underway. And the team will all of the team members, as you then see, are going to be either have already been introduced or will be introduced, either on the big or small screen, before an upcoming event, Young Avengers Disney Plus movie. So, how excited are you all for that? Let's know in the comments. Till
We
then,
need to
Tom,
figure-
are you even familiar with the Young Avengers? I have to admit, I'm not.
Loosely, like I am with, like, you know, I'm assuming, you know, like there's the Justice, you know, the Justice League has their young version or whatever. I always assumed there was a young. I mean, we've been hearing about this for a while, so it's like we've been hearing rumblings anyway. And like I said, though, but from what we heard before, it was more of a Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel, and that was during the Captain Marvel phase, though. And I think now we're seeing what we had reported on, Andre, and that was that they realized how unpopular Captain Marvel is, or at least we should say, quote unquote, the Brie Larson version of Captain Marvel.
If there's one character that should be sidelined and replaced by a younger version, or even a more diverse version, it's that one. Yeah,
I think they're in the process. I think that's why the sequel is not Captain Marvel 2 and it's the Marvels or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to work her out of this, and that I'm not surprised. She's expensive and nobody likes her. And I will give you one thing about that other thing about Captain Marvel. I agree with you that if it was anybody else but her, it probably been more well received. Sans one thing, ain't nobody gonna buy that bullshit about fucking Samuel Jackson getting his eye scratched out by God.
There was plenty other bullshit in that movie,
yeah,
but she only exacerbated the issues.
I'm gonna say there's still gonna be people who had problems with it, but I agree with you that people would have received it much better had it been anybody else. And again, I agree because the point is I think it's her. She rubs people the wrong way. Just her. It doesn't matter what she does because like. She just her attitude in general, because I used to like I forgot that she was in Kong, and then when we were, you know, that new movie came out earlier this year, I rewatched Kong again. First couple times I watched it, I didn't even really pay attention to her. This time she annoyed the piss out of me, like just because of who she is. Right? That's where you know people ask about separating art from the artist. That's one person now who's come to a point where I just cannot separate the person from the art.
Sometimes that is difficult to do.
And we'll talk about another person like that a little later.
Yeah.
Here's shut up, Wesley.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some people that
before we get ahead of ourselves, you were saying about Young Avengers, sorry.
Yeah, no, I have said pretty much everything I have to say about the Young Avengers for the time being. Darren Hughes wonders, where did Paulie go?
He should hopefully be back any second here. He said he was jumping to his computer, so hopefully he'll be back.
Yeah, and also Valiant Renegade says, speaking of Marvel, can all start Hulk smashing that like button, please? Yeah, hit that like. It really helps us out. So yeah, that's the Young Avengers news. It's maybe not the most exciting thing in the world, but now at least you
honestly,
have advance warning.
You know what, though? I'll be honest with you, Andre. I don't know if anything, considering we're getting this news as opposed to the whole Miss Marvel is going to be the lead of the Young Avengers. The chances of me watching this just went up astronomically. Now, astronomically meaning from 0 to about 3%.
That is, considering that you started with 0, that is kind of astronomical.
Yeah, so like to totally not giving a shit to. Yeah, maybe if I have absolutely fucking nothing to do or Andre makes me watch it.
I think that Jillian kind of like speaks for most people in terms of the excitement for Young Avengers. But how about excitement for The Punisher? How about that? Because
That's a little
that's
different
next.
story. All
That's
right.
something else, isn't it? And we'll get into the Punisher and the news there because that's developing. And I'm a huge fan of the Punisher, so I'm very excited for that.
Full
But
disclosure, I have not seen the Punisher Netflix series. Now, I did see his
you
run on
don't
the
need to.
Daredevil part.
It's an
And I
alternate
remember you
universe
saying this,
now.
and this is why I haven't watched it, because you said then it wasn't as good as his role in Daredevil.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like his Daredevil appearance is the best Punisher appearance uh, by um, by Bernthal. And speaking of which, Double Back Down says, please don't ruin the Punisher. You know who else apparently feels very strongly that way? John Bernthal.
John Bernthal.
Yeah. But we'll get into that. Before we get into
Got a
that,
couple
let's
of super
get caught
chats.
up on the super chats. And we have one we can bring up right now. HyperGyver2 wonders for $5. Tom, do you know of what the connective tissue and the same issue both Miles Morales and Riri Williams share? They were created
Yes.
by Brian Michael Bendis.
And that's the other thing. I was picking on him way back when I first heard about Riri Williams. I'm like, he does realize that Riri is not a good nickname, right? I'm not even going to get into what it really means, but in most cases that I know of, anybody who had that kind of a nickname wasn't a good reason. So, but other than that, yeah, I'm not surprised. And I don't hate Miles even. Here's the funny thing. I'll take 2 seconds on a soapbox real quick. I don't hate Miles Morales. I feel bad that he doesn't get more of his own character and identity, right? And I think more people should see that. And I've said this on the Twitter thing. The whole Twitter thing has kind of died down for the most part, outside of a few of the Rees that just won't give up. And you know what? It is what it is. I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care if they like the movie or not. That I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I even gave away 2 free copies of the movie. You know, it is what it is. Just to me, it's like we already got one. Why do we need another one? He had the name Kid Arachnid in what was it? The one run. That to me was a better name, right? Like that at least it's his own identity of sorts. So, but yeah, as far as that whole thing, yeah, that's all kind of like Tuesday's news now. And Paulie is back. How you doing?
Hey, kiddos.
Hey,
sorry.
can hear you.
How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, we hear you fine this time.
Don't freak
You
me out.
sound
I'm like,
beautiful. You sound beautiful, man.
It's never just like, let me just hop on the computer. It's like, let me hop over dogs and clean their mouths. And
I know. Trust me. My cat's usually in the way. And yeah.
So,
And then Tennille's like, okay, I take it back. Let's go back to sports. So he'd rather talk about sports than he would. I'm assuming he's talking about the whole Miss Marvel thing and all that stuff we were talking about before.
And then Tennille 89. I don't know if you're a baseball fan, but there's a lockout right now, so there's not even any baseball
Really?
activities as far as trades and
There's a lockout for why?
collective bargaining stuff. You know,
Are
same
they
shit.
gonna fuck up and pull a goddamn strike again and ruin baseball all over again?
You know what? We can deep dive, but I don't think this is the place for that.
No, but yeah, for those kids who don't remember, they pulled that like 20 years ago, and that was not a very good move for them. They pretty much killed baseball for almost a decade. Tennille 89 says, Tom's breaking my immersion with all this talk of exercise. I need to do more exercise. Paulie tells me this all the time.
Yeah, I tell you, yeah.
2.5, 2 out of 5. It was okay review, high standards of today. Yeah, you're not totally wrong on that, Tennille. I don't know if I'd go that low, though. I mean, there's a lot to enjoy in the show. What
show are we talking about?
Oh, I think he means Hawkeye.
I've only seen the first episode, so
yeah. Well, to me, like you'll really be like, oh, holy shit, when you get to that 3rd episode and you see the chase scene, because that just the way it's shot is amazing. Cyan Bloodbane, or is it Sign-In Bloodbane? There we go. That sounds more right. With $5 says there was a rumor that the X-Men MCU movies would begin in the Savage Lands with Sauron as an eco-justice antagonist. I don't remember the source. That's the first I've heard of that. Anybody else hear anything like that, Andre?
I've also heard like some Savage Land connection, but I don't know if it's accurate for one thing, and that's that was so early days that that's something that might have changed. So, but who knows? We'll
Wait,
see. We'll
I'm
see.
confused. Sauron is Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. So, but maybe there's a Sauron in Marvel too.
I was gonna say I never put it past them. There's so many X-Men characters.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know most of
Because
them.
I started
I'll
thinking
admit
about
that.
the Lord of the Rings, like their latest
Yeah,
Amazon.
I know the
yeah.
main
I don't.
ones,
I don't
that's
think
it.
it's that Sauron, but maybe it's someone who it sounds like it or has the same name. I don't know.
Or something
Like,
was
who knows?
misspelled too. It's hard to say.
And maybe Marvel even licensed Sauron at some point. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. I mean, they
I don't
licensed
think it's
Fu
that
Well,
serious.
Manchu.
They
no,
just use the name.
Sauron has been around a lot longer than X-Men. There is
Yeah,
a
I know.
Sauron
And
X-Men.
Fu
Okay,
In the
Manchu
MCU, okay, yeah.
has been
Okay.
around a lot longer than Marvel, and they still licensed him to use him as the father of Shang-Chi.
okay, we're getting schooled here in the chat. Great, thank you,
Cool,
guys.
cool.
Excellent.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
helpful.
speaking of the chat, we have one of our members, Big Daddy
Sauron
MRI,
X-Men. Yeah.
who says, also congratulations to the he says, love this stream. Also congratulations to the Critical Drinker on 1 million subscribers.
Yes, indeed.
Congratulations
Good
to our
friend
good
of ours
friend,
and
yes.
well earned. I mean, I remember when, like, he's been on YouTube for a long time, but when he first developed the drinker persona, like, I was a huge fan right away. So he knocked it out of the park and well earned.
Yeah, indeed. We've had him on here several times, and hopefully we'll have him back again real soon.
Yeah.
He also says, I hope Midnight's Edge makes it there very soon. Also, glad to be a member of your channel. Cheers, my friends. Well, thank you, Big Daddy.
Oh, thank
MRI.
you. Thank you.
I would like to think we could get there someday. I'm not gonna, get ahead of myself, but Midnight's Edge has always kind of been on the edge of YouTube. So
I
if
see
we
what you
never
just did there.
do,
you
I
did.
wouldn't be surprised. But I'm very happy with what we've accomplished in the last few years. I'm sure Andre is as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And on a much
the more we can grow with you all, the better.
yeah, and on a much on another triumphant level, Midnight's Edge Espanol is 3100.
Awesome,
Amazing,
brilliant.
amazing.
And for those that haven't done so already, go check out Midnight's Edge Espanol. It's not exclusively Spanish.
Yeah, for those who don't speak Spanish, especially if you're trying to learn, I've had a lot of people message me saying thank you for Midnight's Edge Espanol. I've been trying to learn Spanish, or I have to learn Spanish, or I'm doing the. And it's you guys, because you do it in both bilingual. I've had a lot of people tell me that they love to watch it and it helps them learn. And so you guys are doing an amazing job over there. So kudos.
Gracias.
Yes.
And then Rod Thunderheart is in the chat with 10 Canadian dollars. He says, "Hail Andre and Tom. If they bring in Jackman, okay, but even then it'll suffer because I feel like they'd want to make Wolverine different from Fox property. Same with Blade. I doubt it'll be the same or good." You're probably not wrong. I mean, I understand your reservations. I will say this about Jackman. I'm not 100% sure. That's just the rumor that keeps going around. If you
There's
want
a rumor that he might. I have no idea if it's true.
honestly,
But we've heard rumors that he might pop up in.
I think it's been confirmed that he's been
Spider-Man.
hanging around MCU studios or whatever the headquarters is there, the offices, talking to and there's pictures of him with Kevin Feige and shit. If I had to take a wild shot in the dark, he's going to be in Deadpool 3. I don't know if they'll actually bring him. I don't think he has it in him to do anymore. I think he'll do one more with Deadpool, and it'll be a one-off.
Or Hulk versus Wolverine. That apparently is
Maybe
also one that.
that's some way I think we've heard a little bit of a rumor of, yeah. But with the multiverse shit, that's plausible. Now, as far as Blade's an interesting thing because I was at the ground level of that shit because I actually knew somebody who was up for the possible to be one of the writers on the show. And I had gotten fed a lot of information about it. Now, they weren't happy with how things came down because of the whole Wesley Snipes situation. That's a whole nother can of worms. But from what I heard about how they're going to handle Blade, I'm not as worried because they said they're going to go as hard PG-13 as they can. And after watching Hawkeye, the violence that's in that, I ain't too worried at all. Like, I don't think anybody will really miss a couple F words and some tits here and there. I mean, I'm sure everybody misses tits, but I don't think that Blade's going to be tamed down too much. I think he'll be able to kill plenty of vampires and shed tons of blood. I think he'll be fine. Because you know what I don't know. Well, did you get that far yet, Paulie? I was going to say there's some pretty violent scenes in Hawkeye. So compared to some of the other stuff we've seen in the MCU already. I think we lost Paulie for a second.
I'm sure he'll be back again.
All right, so yeah.
Meanwhile, let's do a couple more super chats before we get into the Punisher.
Sorry, I'm here. I'm here. I was just watching the latest Boba Fett trailer that just dropped.
Boba Fett trailer?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let me send it to you. I'm sorry about that. Because it was trending, and I'm like, what's going on?
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, that's what happens when you're live and before there's no news, and then all of a sudden there's news when the show happens. That always
happens. That's why it's like difficult to make thumbnails and titles and stuff like that, because if you have a slow news day, you just know that the exciting stuff, that's going to break over the course while you're live.
And it's actually a minute long, not like the 30-second ones.
All right. Hyperguyver 2 says, Sauron is a man who mutates into a pterodactyl. I like that idea. I like dinosaurs. And I like mutants. So I'm on board with this.
Like a match made in heaven.
I'm on board with this. And then we've got Melvin Belliard. How you doing? He sends in $20. Says, good afternoon, gentlemen. What they did with the story of how Fury lost his eye still upsets me to this day. Me too, my friend. In the comics, he gets captured by World War II German bad guys. We know what you mean. And while getting tortured, he loses his eye. Yes, that would have made much more sense. But, something like that.
Yeah, that he was scratched by Space Kitty.
Yeah.
That was lame. That was beyond
kitties are assholes. Lame. I will say this, that what are you going to do? Cats are assholes. House of Trady says, where does Marvel go if their blockbuster days are over? Can they make movies for less than $100 million and still be entertaining? Very good question, House of Trades. Now, I think that, at least in my perspective, outside of certain things like Spider-Man and stuff, and until things get back to normal, yeah, I think they're a ways away from seeing another $1 billion movie. I think the only exception might be Spider-Man and maybe Doctor Strange if Spider-Man's in it. Outside of that, can they make less than $100 million movies? They could. Will they? I don't know. I
think that they would be better for it if they did. Honestly, in my opinion, I think that Phase 4, as they've done it so far, has been something of a mistake. They've spent too much money on too much CGI out of this world bullcrap, when what they needed to do after Endgame, in my opinion, was not to try to top it, but rather scale it down again, street level. And then you can gradually build up over the course of several movies. But I think that's kind of like what would have been needed.
Yeah, they really kind of
a palate cleanser.
They really kind of overlooked the fallout of what Endgame and Infinity War would have caused. I mean, they have bits and pieces here about it, but I really feel like you're right, Andre. I feel like that was an opportunity that was missed, where you could have brought in some more of the street level characters, and now would have been the perfect time if you'd had some of the other ones. Now you can start bringing in Daredevil and shit because they can legally. So, I think it's a huge mistake on their part to not go that route. I agree.
Yeah.
Not everything has to be fucking world ending. It's
yeah, or universe ending, as it were.
What do you think, Paulie?
What's that?
I think you're indisposed.
No, man. I'm just.
Do you think Marvel's blockbuster days are over? And if they are, do you think they'll be able to spend $100 million on a movie anymore?
God. Pretty much, right? It's and it really depends on this direction they're going. It seems like they're just really reimagining like so many characters, or bringing in very kind of like low. I don't want to say low level, but just like not as popular heroes.
Lesser known is a better word.
Lesser known. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm offended. You're gonna offend anyone no matter what.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right.
Tell me about it.
Let's just be real. It's like what it seems like they're just turning all the superheroes into women, which case by case I don't have a problem with. It's just you don't have to, there's room to keep the OGs and to add people. The OGs are the ones that made you where you're at right now, which is why if anything, those movies are going to become more and more popular over the years, the Iron Mans and the Captain America movies. I don't see how it can even match, as and it's coming from me, a guy who likes Shang-Chi. Rabbit chicken and all, I just don't see the comparison. Maybe if they did some kick-ass Avenger movies.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing: is I don't know how much cheaper they can make these for, because the example I always go to is Deadpool. They bragged about being able to do that for $60-70 million, but then they ended up getting sued because we found out how they were able to get to do it for $60-70 million, and that was not pay their animators and special effects artists. But that's the other problem I see with Marvel, is the more they keep bringing in big stars, the bigger the paychecks are going to get. So they're really going to have to, I think that's where they're going to have to kind of reevaluate what they're doing, because their special effects, I don't see where they're spending the money, because outside of Hawkeye, which I think has done pretty well with its special effects, almost every other Marvel property we've seen in the last few years, I've not been impressed by their output. Like the one that sticks out ever since like Black Panther, they've pretty much been subpar CGI in almost every one of their movies. And I'm not sure where the money's going, other than in the pockets of these actors. So that's why I'm sure they're trying to get rid of, or at least take Captain Marvel out of the equation, because she's an expensive actress. I know that's why they wanted to kill Robert Downey Jr.'s character. In fact, I was more than certain that's why he was going to die, is because he's too goddamn expensive. Even Paul Rudd made a shit ton of money for his appearances, because he's in his third or fourth appearance now. So that's the thing with these guys. Once they get so many appearances in their contracts, the money goes up and up and up and up. I mean, look at Captain Marvel. Brie Larson started at $5 million. How much do you think she got for Endgame? I bet she got twice that, and she's only in the damn thing for a few minutes.
Here's the thing, though. For political purposes, she must be paid as much as the most star in it. Like, for instance, remember, only last week you had, like, what's her face? She who was Mary Jane in the original.
Oh, she can shut the fuck up.
Yeah, because she was complaining that I earned less than Tobey Maguire. Yeah, because you were in 10% of the movie and he was in almost every single scene.
Not just
getting lifelong back injuries.
I was just going to say that. Thank you.
Who are we talking about?
Tobey Maguire.
And,
because
no, but what was her name?
Help me out in the chat here.
No, I know the name,
Mary
but
Jane.
we don't know it off the top of our.
Yeah, she who was Mary Jane in the original Spider-Man. Kirsten Dunst. Yeah.
I was going to say
she was complaining. Yeah. She was complaining that she was paid less than Tobey Maguire.
You got to stand there and kiss him while he was hanging upside down for hours. Shut the fuck up. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, those were probably the biggest movies of her career today.
Yeah, they were.
Shut the fuck up. She's probably pissed because she's not in the new one. I guarantee you that's why she's pissing and moaning.
Isn't she? Is she in that movie? Year of the Dog, or the Dog with Benedict Cumberbatch? Let me look at that.
Maybe. I mean, she's still acting, but that's my point. She's probably more butthurt that she just isn't this big actress now. Well, guess what? Newsflash: you're not that great of an actress to begin with. You peaked early. You got? Did she win that Oscar, or did she just get nominated for the Interview with a Vampire? Because I haven't liked her since then. Like, I thought she's overrated. I didn't like her as Mary Jane. I know people like her, but I just never saw like what the appeal of her was. I didn't think she was that great of an actress. There's 100 other women I would have rather had play Mary Jane. And then they turn around and bring Bryce Dallas Howard, and it's like an insult because you got a blonde playing a redhead and a redhead playing a fucking blonde, and it's like, shit, you should have had Bryce Dallas Howard playing her from the start.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's in
she's a great actress.
Yeah, Kirsten is in The Power of the Dog, which
Okay.
Benedict is getting a lot of awesome.
No,
to
I mean
talk about.
she's had a career. I don't
And-
see how she can complain.
I think she's married to Jesse Plemons now, and Jesse Plemons is a really good actor. He played the enemy guy in the prince in Jungle Boat Cruise.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch it, but yeah.
He's in a lot of good stuff. But anyways, yeah. Well, maybe because she's back in whenever they're actors are back on the press junket, that's when they get to talk. That's
Just to virtue signal a little bit.
It's really
Don't
true.
forget
It's
me, I'm a
like
victim.
I'm hearing all this, just to jump off a little bit of just all the talk of some of the Spielberg and the West Side Story actors on the press junkets, and I'm just it's just cringe left and right.
Well,
it's
there's
like
news
I
with
got to
that
turn it
too,
off
yeah.
because I for my channel I want to go review it. I don't want their talk to ruin it for me.
Well, then I won't get into some of that stuff, but I'm sure you heard that it's not going to be allowed in a lot of places in the Middle East.
Oh, I sent that story to Sporkin yesterday. Yeah.
I saw. Yeah, because I was gonna say, yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, then what's your take on that, real quick? I didn't want to get too deep into it since you didn't want to
on the on antibodies. So the real quick of it is that Antibodies was the tomboy of the gang of the Jets, and Antibodies always wanted to belong, be one of the boys, and she was a great role in the '61 film. If you remember, she basically became like she was the one who kind of foiled the plans of the Sharks, and was really on it, loyal to the Jets. Anyways, in the update, it's a transgender actor, and from what I've been told from one of my reviewer friends who's already seen it, and I did a video on her review, which I thought was very trustworthy. She was telling me that role is like, it's so quick, like, it's not even as far as, Anybody's being not just a tomboy, but trans, so I don't know as far as the portrayal of the character, how it's changed. That's one thing. But what's happened is that there's about 7 Middle Eastern countries that are banning the movie off bat because of the trans character. So,
which, I mean, yeah, I can't agree with. That's bullshit. But at the same time, was there? I guess until we see the movie, I guess we have to question: was it even really worth doing that to the character? Is it what the character was really all about to begin with? I guess is the bigger question. I mean, I guess if it fits,
Yeah.
maybe, but was that the intention of the original creator at the same time? That's
right.
The other thing.
So there's a couple things, and Mecha J pointed out. Once they heard that there's a non-binary character, it's such a small role. Okay, all right, I hear you, Mecha, but the estate and the people that owned West Side Story, they've gone on paper saying Antibodies is is a transgender character, which look, that's their choice, right? And that's what they're going with, and they're going with a lot of the virtue signaling from that to Latinx, to no subtitles in Spanish for the English speaking crowd. It's so rifled with politics of today that you're like, well, what about this amazing story that it's basically Romeo and Juliet told as a musical in the 50s, told as a movie, retold time and time again every year in regional and high school productions of West Side Story. So I really don't have a problem, with that role of Antibodies. It kind of, makes sense. It's tomboy, whatever. That tomboy would be
Well, can I say this? I think, okay, for as far as the Antibodies thing, like, I think that to me feels more like it could have been chalked up to something like we dealt with Dune, if it
Mhm.
hadn't be for the rest of the stuff you said after that. Right? Like if that was the only
Right.
thing,
It's
I could be
not.
like, okay, it's just the studio was pushing and it was kind of like with Dune, they told them you
Mhm.
probably had to do one thing or the other. And if you didn't, then
Yeah.
we're going to do it for you. I could buy that. Even
Yeah,
if it's Steven
listen.
Spielberg. But now that
Yeah.
you're telling me the whole movie sounds like it's just nothing but woke from beginning to end, yeah, I don't know.
Well, no, that's not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that the
Okay, because that's what it
interviews
sounded like. Sorry.
No, yeah, the interviews and marketing agenda is. And
Oh, well, that's
what I
typical.
told
Yeah.
you, what we talked about months and months ago within the Heights and how they dogged it, that I think they're setting up in the Heights for a fall purposely so they can boost West Side Story, because In the Heights was not their woke product
Gotcha.
that they had hoped for. West Side Story is. It's in
Yeah.
it's in the story, it just lends itself, the white gang versus the Puerto Rican gang. I mean, it's a Wokoso's wet dream, let's be honest. So that's exactly what's unfolding here. And listen, guys, I'm gonna go see it tomorrow because, just for my channel's purposes, and because in high school I played Tony. I could, I could
Does it
I
start this weekend then?
it starts this weekend, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I have I've
I wouldn't
always,
know it.
I
They
have the
haven't been
vinyl of
advertising it that way. Sorry.
yeah, I have the vinyl of the Broadway and the original soundtrack. So I'm invested, and I hear that besides the leads, the co-stars are incredible, and I'm really looking at this one actor. Um, Here's another thing that is highly problematic, and it's just such a crazy dynamic, because it's where we can intersect here, where we have our problems with it, coming from Midnight's Edge, and then from the Latino point of view, and this is in my friend's review, they have the affected accents still that drives a lot of Latinos crazy. And I
Oh, kind of like the conversation we were having about Encanto.
yeah, even worse. And
Mm.
I connect this to, imagine, guys in the chat. Imagine, well, you know what's the British actors, Australian actors always nail the American dialects, and the characters of which they're connected to: South, Boston Southie, deep Louisiana South, because they're trained theater actors. American actors have a horrible time doing that. When they go out of the American roles. So imagine, we can hear that. It's in our American ear. So hear me out with the ear of Latino roles. We can hear a mile away if it's a an actor who didn't nail it, and it sounds god awful. And I'm not talking about speaking in Spanish. I'm just talking about when you have your accent. Of course, these Puerto Ricans have accents because they're immigrants. That's the whole story.
Mhm.
But their accents are just, from what I'm hearing, they're outdated still back in the 50s, and that's a big problem, man. That's a big problem.
Interesting. Well, we'll have
Yeah.
to hear what you have
Hmm.
to say tomorrow after you see it, and
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
curious to see if it's worth your time or if it's worse than you think. We'll see. Big Daddy MRI sends in 4.99 and says, "Do you guys think that there will be reshoots on Top Gun Maverick before release to bring it up to current, or just CGI? Do they need to?" No, I don't think, unless there was some kind of product placement thing, and even that, hey, that's a good question. I don't know if I still buy the bullshit about Bond. Did you notice anything in Bond that would have been like, oh, okay, I can see why they reshot that for the phone? Yeah, because I still don't buy that horse shit. Anybody who saw Bond here besides me? Because I didn't. No? All right, I'm on my own. All right, well, no, I don't think they'll mess with it. They're just they moved it this time. Big
I
Daddy
saw it.
just Oh yeah. Did you notice any of the reshoots at all that like that had anything to do with the phones, perhaps? Or the phone's a big part of the fucking movie?
Oh God. I don't know.
Well, I saw Bond, and no, that was a complete cover
Horse
story.
shit.
And I don't believe there's going to be any changes whatsoever to Top Gun. There's no reason whatsoever to
No.
change
The only
anything.
reason it was moved is because Mission Impossible got delayed, so they just put it in its place, and then that
Yeah.
way it didn't have as much competition. So,
That's it. There's no bigger mystery to it. No
which
need
actually
to
is
do
kind of a
anything
good
with the
sign,
movie.
and that means they probably have some faith in it. They don't want it to
Oh yeah,
falter. So, yeah.
absolutely. No, that's a movie that from everything I have heard, they do have faith in. So it's simply a matter of finding a release date where they can see as big a return as possible. That's really all there is about. And if there really is such a case where they have like a sponsor thing with like a cell phone you manufacturer or something, which I doubt because this isn't Sony, but if there is, they'll CGI it. You don't do reshoots for that.
Exactly. Yeah. That whole thing with Bond was just a cover story, like we reported. I'm almost
Yeah.
certain now.
Yeah.
Even though I haven't seen the film, I've heard nobody go, "Oh, I see why they reshot that stuff for Nokia or whatever." No.
Yeah.
All right, and I
Exactly.
think we had maybe one other super chat to catch up on, and then we can get into some of the rest of this news here.
Yeah, we have some
Let's
Punisher
see.
stories that we
Yeah.
promised you all.
Unless I think we're caught up, maybe we are.
Yeah.
The
Do a one double check on it, and
Yes.
then we'll get into the Punisher.
I am doing that, but I'm not seeing any as of right now. Okay, this is the last one I think we got here, but I'm going to double check while you read this one. Okay, I got another one after this, so go ahead. We got Shane Wyrostek, who says, "I miss the days of the mid-budget movie." Well, they're still around. A lot of them have been going straight to streaming, though, and you're not wrong that it seems like the good mid-budget movies are gone. And we had this conversation yesterday on Culture Casino's channel where we were talking about, how the IPs of today were all the IPs that were started in the 80s, and how back in the 80s it was like 90% original stuff, and a lot of the stuff they did try to revamp in the 80s from 20 years prior to that didn't really work out. And yeah, so like, we do need to get back to those just standard type movies. I agree. And but a lot of those have been taken over by streaming television and straight to streaming movies, and they get buried a lot of the time.
Isn't Ghostbusters Afterlife considered a mid-budget level?
Technically, you would be correct.
Right.
I would say,
even though it's a lot of money.
Yeah, as far as like a studio picture, a $75 million budget for a movie like that, that's crazy. Like, I wonder what the deflation is on that, because I bet you it's right in line with the original film's budget. I'm willing to bet. If not, maybe even cheaper than the original film's budget. I don't know what the inflation would be from 84 to now. I'd have to go look at the math, but yeah, I think they need to get back to that kind of stuff. It would help. I mean, that's where Tom Rothman, I think, really pulled Sony up from under the wreckage. I mean, what do you guys think, Andre?
I think that Sony is going to have more mid-budget movies, because you're quite right. Ghostbusters Afterlife is a mid-budget movie, and that's something that obviously Tom Rothman had a big part in, and it's a hit, and that's because of the mid-budget.
Big part of it, yes.
If that movie had cost as much as the 2016 movie, it wouldn't have been a hit. But it didn't, and so it is. So I think that we'll get more Ghostbusters movies that cost around the same range as that one, and Sony's going to prosper from it, and therefore get like the motivation to do more movies in that general budget range.
I mean, obviously the biggest success of that in recent years was Joker, correct?
Right. Great example. Thank you, Paul.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And maybe that's started a trend. But
not the
maybe,
kind of trend we want.
Well, I'm just talking about like more economical budgets.
They've been kind of ignoring it, Paulie. I mean, of course, it does
really?
take a while. It does take a while for those things to catch on. Don't get me wrong. And that movie came out right before things went to shit. But the only kind of inspiration from what I heard coming out of Hollywood from that is we're getting a Lex Luthor movie. We're getting a, whatever bad guy of the week movie now. Like, that's the kind of message they got from that, instead of, oh, this movie was made for nothing and it made $1 billion and it's one of the most profitable movies of all time. Well, shit, maybe we should start doing that more often. Oh, no, they never get that kind of a message.
Gotcha. Yeah,
And unfortunately, I would hope so, but I doubt it because
Um,
Hollywood is stupid.
They have a tendency to learn the wrong messages.
the hard way.
Yeah, or to pick
But
up the messages they want to learn.
if I can bring up a controversy in the chat in regards to West Side Story,
What's up?
people are begging for Machete, for Danny Trejo to be cast in West Side Story. And at first I said,
I'd see it then.
Machete don't dance.
Well, I said Machete don't sing, and then
Machete don't sing.
right. Someone says, "Hey, for the price," he'll do. I'm
I
like,
bet
"Sure."
you. Actually, I think I could see him singing before dancing.
Okay, you know what? People that go to see Machete in West Side Story, they don't go to see him sing or dance.
They see him to cut the shit out of some kids.
Exactly.
No, I want to see Jason versus Machete. That almost seems like a perfect combo. But no, speaking of, did you mention you were in West Side Story as a kid? Is there video?
Next story.
No, is there video?
There evidently is, since he wants to go to the next story.
Then you need to get. We're gonna bring that into the Culture Casino cut. You better. Come on, man.
No, we really don't.
Yes,
I mean,
we
it's
really
like high
do.
school. It's a high school. I think
That's
my mom
the point.
has. I think my mom has a copy.
Come on.
Yeah, I told you.
I just told you. I think my mom has a
Yeah.
copy.
Come on,
Yeah,
you got to put
exactly.
up. Got to at least put up your scenes.
Well, real quick, it was hilarious. I mean, you talk about, I had heard about this casting because it wasn't. I was in high school, but it was actually at a private all girls school, and they were looking for for the male roles, and I was like, I'm not getting anything. Wasn't getting any good roles in high school, so I went and I auditioned for Bernardo. And the director kept looking at me. I'm like, what are you looking at, man? And he's like, oh, sing this note, sing this song. And so they had me singing the Tony songs. And I get Tony. I'm playing the the Polish Mick, whatever. And then of course the lead, Maria, is non-Latina at this private school in Bel Air. Hilarious, man.
Oh,
So we
geez.
were breaking the mold back then.
See. And then Joachim Stark sent in 50 Swedish krona, I believe that is. It says,
That is
"Hail
correct.
Midnight's Edge team and chat.
Yeah.
The upcoming litmus test for me will be Daredevil. As in, will it be 25% different Daredevil?" Well, interesting
It
you
will.
asked that. Yes, it
will.
will be a little bit
Yep.
different. Yes.
You don't have to worry about it, I guarantee you, because everything about those Netflix shows is owned by Netflix. So, like, for instance, his suit is going to be 25% different in the MCU version. This is true of all of them. They're going to be 25% different because that particular iteration is frozen. So you can still have a Daredevil played by Charlie Cox, but he won't have that suit, which I'm actually pretty okay with. Like, my favorite suit of the Daredevil show was actually like the black suit.
Me too, actually.
That was taken from
I actually thought-
from the Trial of the Incredible Hulk, the TV
I
movie.
agree.
That's where that is from.
And,
I
you
was
know
so
what?
happy in season 3 when he returned to the beautiful black suit.
You know what's sad is I actually like Ben Affleck's suit better than
I
the one
agree.
used.
I agree. Like, he looks like Ant-Man.
Yeah, I don't like this whole like militarized kind of look they got to all the outside of Captain America. It worked for him, but now like everybody has that, right? Like, and it's just like that tactical gear look. It's like I get what you're doing, but no, that just doesn't fit. And yeah. And then Script is in the chat. He says the DD suit might be a lot better in the Disney Plus version. There you go.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get an upgrade, because I never liked the Daredevil suit, and that it's going to be 25% different. Of course, yeah, in principle it can always be worse, but I choose to believe that we're going to get a better looking suit in Disney's Daredevil reboot.
But yeah,
And
speaking
of that, let's bring up the next story. We promised the Punisher, and here is the
we'll
Punisher.
punish you no longer. Now we're going to bring it
Yeah,
up.
exactly. The Punisher, of course, is one of my favorite characters. He's certainly the top 3.
One of the reasons
my
why
favorite
Midnight's Edge
Marvel
exists,
characters.
isn't it?
It is absolutely. I mean, we started out really covering the Punisher to begin with, and then we moved a little bit away from that, not because we decided our Punisher isn't cool anymore, but because we have all these other things to cover. But no, like the Punisher is dear and central to Midnight's Edge. Like, if you go back to our first 6 months, quite Punisher centric. And many fell in love with John Bernthal's Netflix iteration of The Punisher. And as we have already said, we've learned from Mikey Sutton that they do intend to bring back not all, but many of the Netflix heroes. I actually spoke with Mikey Sutton, and I sent him the link for today, so if he can come in, maybe he will.
Real quick though, Six does point out that she found multiple videos of Danny Trejo singing and dancing. No one wants him in West Side Story. Okay.
Tonight. You know,
I want to leave in America.
just really, God, you know what? No, I'm not gonna. No, I don't want to talk about I keep referring to my friend's review. We'll just hold it.
You're less than what, 24 hours or just over 24 hours away from telling us what you think about it. So there you go.
Right. I think I'm going to the 5:00 show here in town tomorrow night.
There you go.
Yeah. So we'll figure out what I'm going to do as far as, do a quick little out of the theater response, and then like go do a full, pre-recorded video review. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
On that note, Jillian N says, "Por favor, Paulie, show us the video of your performance." I think she means it'll be great. I'll bet you were great. I'll bet you were great. Right. Is what I think she means. Okay, sorry about that. I want to hear you sing. Now sing it.
I just kissed a girl named Maria, and suddenly I found. I was
gonna say you ain't got no problems with singing. Paulie and I do karaoke.
Yeah, so. we're gonna be working on a couple Christmas karaoke things, but yeah. Okay, let me ask my mom. I'm gonna see my mom tomorrow morning. So.
And if you need help, I'll help you get it somehow to do.
No, I don't need your help.
Okay, Michael Miller says,
just play it.
With 14 South African rands, is the new Star Trek video going to be referring to the stock? I think it brings it up, right, Andre? And I think Andre stepped out.
No, I'm here. Only in passing.
I was going to say in passing.
Yeah, it's not devoted to that. No. It's focused mostly on the Netflix stuff. The share price is only in passing. Yep. But let's get back to the Punisher story after a couple of detours there.
Yes.
No, because I spoke with Mikey Sutton, and what he said, he had some more details on exactly which of the Netflix heroes they are bringing back. They are bringing back Charlie Cox's Daredevil. They're bringing back Kristen Ritter. And they're bringing back John Bernthal's Punisher. Those talks are going on right now. They're not yet sorted. But the intention is for John Bernthal to come back. He has some conditions. And we're going to get into those. But moving on with who else they're going to bring back, they will not be bringing back the one major miscast, the guy who did Iron Fist. They will not be bringing him back, and they will also probably not be bringing back Mike Coltier as Power Man. For the very simple reason that they will be recasting Iron Fist, and the new Fireman Luke Cage has to be someone that has chemistry and can be screen tested with this new Iron Fist.
That's a lot.
Therefore, the two of them will probably be replaced. But the trio that will continue then is Cox's Daredevil, Bernthal's Punisher, and Kristen Ritter. Plus, of course, the Kingpin. He has
he been confirmed yet?
He has not been confirmed. I was
going to say, because
he's going to be confirmed in upcoming episodes.
I was going to say, because he threw up on Twitter congratulating Cox, and then he threw up some hint that he may be back. And I think, if they don't bring him back, that's a big fucking mistake because he was the best part.
He's back. He was the first one they looked
I would
down.
assume so because I
They
remember him
looked
talking about it a
him
while
down
ago. Yeah,
months ago.
I was
So
gonna say yeah.
so yeah, he probably will appear on screen in Hawkeye.
I'm assuming so.
And Charlie Cox may also appear in Hawkeye.
There's
What I
rumors
was
to that,
told was look out for episode 5 of Hawkeye. Things apparently are going to go down there.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
So all right. Well, I mean, we
Yeah,
already kind
and
of
Connolly
know.
Connolly wonders, what about Jessica Jones? Yeah, when I say Kristen Ritter, she's the one who played Jessica Jones, so she
Yep.
will also be brought back.
Yeah, and I mean, we already kind of knew about Daredevil and a few other places. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but like, yeah, we knew he was coming at some point, and it looks like we're going to get a lot of Daredevil in the next. If this last rumor you just told us is true, we're going to be getting a lot of Daredevil in the next year or so.
Yes.
But now Punisher, what's going on with John?
Yes,
He had a
let's
few
get
things to
let's
say.
get into the Punisher, because this scoop then comes from Small Screen, and what they are saying, they now have learned, according from their sources, exactly where the Punisher is going to appear, and he is going to appear in Charlie Cox's Daredevil, just as he appeared there the last time on Netflix. That's where he will also be introduced in the MCU, because they apparently felt that worked perfectly the way it was done there. So apparently they have their own spin on it that's going to be repeated in the MCU proper. And I saw a great question here in the chat. I'm just gonna have to find it again. Yeah, here we go. Headspace Astronaut says, how are they gonna bring the Punisher, one of the most violent Marvel heroes, which many members of the police and military forces identify with? Thank you for bringing up that question, and this is something that has been addressed by this small screen piece, because they reference John Bernthal, who also reference it. John Bernthal hugely identify with this character, and one of the things that is the most important to him about it, or about the character, is that it has to have like that connection to police and military. That's absolutely vital to him. So much so that my understanding is that he has that as part of the contract. Just like when Carl Urban was cast as Judge Dredd for the Dredd movie, he had as an absolute requirement that the helmet must not come off. Which was very easy, because the producers had the exact same requirement, so they were in agreement there. But apparently this is something that, from what I understand, John Bernthal won't budge on. That he has said that he's very interested in coming back, but in addition to the financial package, which has to be right, he is not willing to compromise on the character. If they are going to compromise the character, change up the character in a way where police and military no longer will identify with it, then he has no interest in playing that iteration of the character. He has already played the character the way that he wants it, and that's how he wants to continue playing it. So that apparently is one of the demands that he has brought forward. And he even said this in a podcast with the playlist. Now, I don't have the clip right here, but the quote that he told the playlist is as follows: Frank Castle is an extraordinarily dark character that is not looking to escape that darkness. Sorry. I think that's a really difficult road to go down these days. I would love to do it if we could do it right. It's just not about doing it, it's about doing it right. So from what I understand, that is a part of the talks
I have more of
going
his
on
quotes
behind
here.
the scenes.
Actually, I have
Yeah,
more of his
go
quotes here.
for
He
it.
says, he's really in my heart, man. He's really in my bones. I'm enormously protective of that character. I've said it before, that there's nothing in this world more important to me than my wife and my kids. And only until you understand that kind of love and what it really means to willingly die for somebody do you understand what it would be like if somebody took them from you. that's that's a road and a darkness and a rage that really, really scares me and brings me to places that I've worked the last 20 years to get away from. So I was really grateful, respectful, and wary of places where that role took me and the world which I had lived in. And then he added, it needs to be a level of darkness. I think if there's any let up on that character, you do a disservice to the character, to every iteration of the character, to every comic book that's come before, and to pull all of the unbelievable fans of the character, and to all of the sorry, I don't even know why I got that from I just did my eye drops and my eyes are all watery here. This character means so much to me, to people in the military.
I'm
So
sorry. Why were your eyes all watery?
because I have eye drops I have to do.
Oh, I thought you were just, still
I'm
thinking about
crying because John Bernthal is just actually this is moving me.
Oh, well, I thought it was because of my singing.
Well, that too.
Okay.
It makes me want to cry. So, like I said before, it's not about whether you do the character; it's about whether you can do it right. And I'm only interested in doing it right. So, as you were saying, like, yeah, big thing about the military right there, and that is pretty much the rest of his quote. It looks like
Yeah.
on the subject.
So yeah, there you have it. John Bernthal would return, but not a watered-down version. Now, this is him signaling to Marvel and everything, because the talks are going down right now as we speak. They are in talks because Marvel wants him. He also wants to return, but he wants some guarantees that it's not going to be watered down. Because from what I understand, from what I've heard, the last thing that John Bernthal wants is to be contractually locked in to play the character for so and so many appearances, and then suddenly Marvel changes things on him, and they change the character in a way that he doesn't approve of. That the character is suddenly going to be softened down and start hunting vampires, or is going to be all about
Right.
defunding the police or something. Bernthal wants nothing to do with that, so apparently he wants some kind of guarantee that that won't happen.
So that tells me he's probably not technically signed on yet. And I'll tell you right now, if we hear of anybody else being cast, that's when I'd start to worry.
Exactly. If, for whatever reason, John Bernthal is now not coming back, then we know why. Then you can disregard all hope instantly. But if he does sign on after all of these statements, then I can only take that as a really, really good sign.
I will say this though to Headspace Astronaut, he goes, he or she, sorry. I hope Vincent D'Onofrio is the same, though I doubt they'll have him decapitating a man with a car door. You know what? I would have thought that before I started watching Hawkeye. Like Hawkeye takes the Marvel universe to the farthest I think I've ever seen it, violence wise. I mean, again, like I was telling Andre the other day on the show, like, yeah, a lot of it's off screen, but they show blood splatter. They show enough that it seems there's a lot of heads rolling in that show. they don't hold back too much. So I'm not all that worried if that's the case. But then again, I'm more worried about what Kevin Feige is likely to do with the character because of how woke he is.
That is a concern, of course. And addressing that, and this is why I brought up small screen, because they have sources too. This, of course, comes from Edward Lauder, who we have had on the channel. And here's his editorial take on the matter. Bernthal doesn't want to play a watered-down version of the character, which makes total sense. I also don't think that Marvel Studios would really be all too interested in making a watered-down Punisher series. And again, this is still the editorial take of Small Screen. It does look like they're starting to embrace the more mature side of Marvel in their upcoming projects. Shows such as Moon Knight and the upcoming Blade movie will explore Marvel's darker side. I think Bernthal's Punisher could fit into that part of the MCU very nicely, as could Cox's Daredevil. So yeah, there you have it. The question, of course, is where they're going to distribute it. And here we have heard a couple of different rumors. I don't think that the decision has been fully met. one thing that they apparently is planning is to have an age restricted tier of Disney Plus. Because in Europe and where you have Star, it's no problem. They just put it on Star. Because there you have like your R-rated content. Disney's R-rated content is there.
Well, the cat's kind of out of the bag now, thanks to Peter Jackson, right? Like they have very little excuse anymore. After Get Back, I mean, what excuse do they really have to give anybody?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like you can't put that on Disney Plus and
They
either
did.
like have a warning, or they can put it on Hulu. Put it on Hulu in the US
did have
and
a warning.
put it on Star internationally. Problem solved.
But Paulie, you watched it or you're in the midst of watching it. You tell me that warning really didn't set you up for what you were about to see considering your expectations from Disney. Am I right? Like you weren't expecting to hear all the 4-letter words and shit you did in Get Back, I imagine.
I mean, no. I mean, Get Back was just amazing, and
It's raw, man.
It wouldn't have been amazing if it wasn't raw. Correct. I mean, just from not only just language, but then just them being dudes, smoking and talking smack.
Well, they get into some political stuff even of the day and some other
little
talk
bit.
there.
They sure do. Which Disney likes, but
to a point, but they actually had to put on screen what they're talking about for context, so I'm sure that people didn't freak out. But yeah,
some language there in the chat. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, what the fuck off, Paul? Yeah.
Wow, I was like Sander. I like that. Like grabbed me. I was like looking down at my desk for some paperwork.
I forgot that scene. Yeah, there's some really great scenes.
And I thought Sander was talking to me for a second. I was like, "What the hell?"
Some of the shit that John says and some of his jokes, I can't believe they let get away with on there. Like,
what was hilarious was that they actually let in, that where they brought in Paul's stepdaughter, the little girl.
Mm-hmm. When she's mimicking Yoko, yes.
And she's listening to Yoko, and she gets freaked out, and then she mimics her. Oh my god!
I'm sitting there thinking the kid's better than Yoko.
But Sander gave me a heart attack.
I don't think Sander's not that rude. I don't think he.
No, because I was like, wait a minute, that means Sander were cool, but I'm like, that's hardcore, man. To tell me to fuck off, I'm like, damn.
Maybe tomorrow you just get Eric Clapton to come in here and I
won't
come back. Don't tell Paul to fuck off.
Yeah, tell Paul to fuck off. Yeah, I mean, we gotta remember how young those guys were, and they had no leadership after Brian took his life.
Yeah. And it shows in that movie, man. But anyway, we're getting distracted here. And Andre's talking about Punisher. But no, I mean, at this point, I don't think they really have the excuse. So hopefully they go forward with a much more hardcore Punisher, or at least close to what we've gotten before. They respect Bernthal's wishes because, I liked him in the part. I did.
Yeah, I did too. There were parts of the exactly how the interpretation was that I had issues with both Punisher season 1 and season 2. I had issues with both of them, different issues, but Daredevil season 2, that was so fantastic, so good, more like that, and I'm all on board. And we have a couple of questions in the chat here that I just want to address real quickly. Thunderduck wonders if we're going to have an Odyssey channel as well. Well, maybe. We haven't made any decision there yet, but maybe. Could happen. Yeah, we'll announce it.
We still got to get on like podcasting stuff.
We really have to spread out here. And then Pat Finch wonders, so is there going to be a Savage Avengers series?
I wouldn't count on it.
Savage Avengers, of course, is the Avengers team that has both Conan the Barbarian, Deadpool, and the Punisher. And honestly, that comic is freaking hilarious.
I don't think I would count on it because I don't think they have any of the animated or live action rights to Conan. They'd have to get those. And then on top of that, I just don't see Disney doing it any kind of real justice, unless it's some kind of animated thing. I don't know. What do you think, Andre?
Not happening.
Yeah,
not happening. It's as simple as that. They don't have the Conan rights, whether for animation, film, or series. They only have the comic book license and nothing else. So they can do the Savage Avengers in the comics, but beyond the comics, they can't do anything without going through Netflix And that's not going to happen because Disney Plus and Netflix are bitter, bitter enemies. So, nope, no Savage Avengers series will be coming.
And even if the guys over at Conan, well, whatever it's under now, it's under the name of the company. It just left my mind.
Well, actually, here's like the thing that most directly it's still under Cabinet.
That's what I mean. Like they could
yeah.
make a deal with Cabinet, but that's just it. They'd still have to make a deal. And
or I think they changed the name to like Heroic or something.
Yeah, it's something else. That's what I was trying to remember.
Yeah,
yeah, it's Heroic.
Anyway, so it's under there,
like that,
and that in turn is under Funcom, which is all good and well, and then Funcom in turn is under Tencent. That, of course, is not as good and well. But as long as they don't care, then yeah, I guess it's all good.
Which,
and well.
I mean, they could potentially make a deal, but then again, it depends on the deal they made with Netflix. If Netflix has an exclusive deal, then no.
Yeah.
That's where it boils down to that. And they could still do a version without Conan, but who wants to see that?
The whole point with the Savage Avengers is that Conan is there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Without him, it's just like dark and it's just like more violent Avengers.
Yeah, they'd just come up with a replacement that wouldn't work, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe they can bring in like one of their own rip-offs, like Khazad. They can do a Savage Avengers series with Khazad. But honestly, that's poor man's Conan anyway, so who would want that?
Yeah. And I'm with Connolly here. They should have cast Machete as Kang. Yeah.
Should have cast Machete as everything.
Yeah. I'm
like
Spider-Man.
The Machete multiverse, I'd watch that.
I'm Spider-Man and I'm Batman. At the same time. Did you have any more questions you wanted to address, Andre, before we get to the super chats?
Sebastian Simonson says that Punisher works better with Thunderbolts. That was also great. I mean, the Punisher, like, he's such a loner and he's like such a miser that you can have so much fun with him when you team him up with pretty much anyone. Like the fun thing with Thunderbolts, you can have fun with him and Deadpool. That was hilarious.
I was going to say, I'd love to see Punisher with Deadpool.
It was amazing. I mean, like, I highly recommend the Thunderbolts comic book run.
I never read them, but I got to imagine the Punisher would kill Deadpool.
I'll hook you up with it. That's exactly what he did. Like, he killed Deadpool all the time. And at one point, Deadpool even like told him that you may kill me first, but I'll definitely kill you last. which of course is true. He only has to do it once. But
I know, but I can just picture whenever he gets pissed at him, just shooting him in the head. Oh, at least he'll shut him up for 5 minutes.
You know, literally that scene happened.
I can imagine it.
That scene literally happened, and it was in a car, and the others were like complaining about like that you have to like with all the blood splatter and everything. But well, at least he shut up for 5 minutes.
Exactly.
So yeah, that actually did happen. And whereas in the Savage Avengers, that is like the mutual respect that Conan and the Punisher have for each other, although
that I could see.
Although Conan thinks that the guns are a really girly weapon.
That I could see too. All right. Did you have any more questions?
Not that I can see right away. So if anyone have any comments or questions about this particular story before we move on, then be sure to fire them in the chat right now before we do move on.
Well, while we're waiting for some questions, Rod Thunderheart brings up the fact that C-3PO is more of a Skywalker than Rey. At least he lost an arm. That's true.
Yeah, they couldn't do that with Rey because that would have done something to her perfection.
Exactly. Jillian N. loved your singing, Polly. Says thank you. Are you here? Polly?
Gracias.
Gracias. He's listening to something in the background. Huh?
Yeah. And Grand Admiral Adam, here we did get to
customer service.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Grand Admiral Adam wonders, will the actors who play the supporting characters return as well?
Maybe.
Well, the Kingpin will return. Beyond that, we don't know.
Hasn't What's-His-Face been in talks for Froggy or whatever, too? Foggy and...
I don't know. I would hope so, because I thought... I thought that like Cox and whoever played Foggy, like, I know many people don't like that Foggy, but I thought the two of them were great together.
It's the kid from Mighty Ducks. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, I have no clue. But anyway,
And he
I
was in
haven't
the
heard
Mighty
anything.
Ducks series, so it's not like he's not friendly with Disney. So,
But here's like the thing that they might not have reached out to him yet. What they're doing right now is that they're reaching out to the biggest guns that they really, really need.
the one I hope they recast is what's her face.
Eldon Henson. Eldon Henson. That's his name. Thank you.
Yeah, and he was in the Mighty Ducks series, so I'm sure if they want him, I'm sure he'll do it. So,
And then real quick about the Machete verse.
indeed, what?
His son Gilbert Trejo can play a young Machete. I mean, he looks.
I'm all
just
for
him.
He
this.
totally can.
That's
Yeah.
pretty dope. He's got a
That would
great
be a
look.
cool series, right?
Yeah.
Machete begins.
Yes. Machete.
This is how I sharpen my blade. And you have him just narrating and shit. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and then his son can do like all the young action moves and shit.
Exactly. Yeah. And then Spider Unlimited says, Tom, Abbey Road is better than Let It Be, which is better than Magical Mystery Tour, which is better than Sergeant Pepper. Changed my mind. You know what? The only one of those I would flip flop would be Sergeant Pepper and Magical. Otherwise, I agree with you. Abbey Road is probably one of, if not my favorite Beatles album. And it's just kind of poetic that the last song they recorded together was The End.
I would go Abbey Road, Let It Be, Revolver,
Revolver's good.
Pepper.
The Pepper is so
Because
good.
Magical is just
Magical's
Pepper
more of a
2.0.
compilation than anything.
It's-
It's like
yeah,
a bunch
it's
of
also-
singles and shit slapped together, and it's
But Revolver really was the beginning. Like before
Yes,
it, there was nothing
agree.
else. Revolver
agree.
was just yeah. But
well, we
Abbey
had
Road,
Rubber
Let It
Soul,
Be.
which was the Pod album, and then Revolver was the LSD album.
And this is the thing with Abbey Road, Let It Be. They recorded as a live band together. I mean, that just doesn't happen.
No.
That just doesn't happen. I mean, you got to be like master session players to do that stuff.
And Andre's just like, yeah, more Beatles.
Well, and
stuff.
that was their biggest complaint, Andre, really fast, is that they wanted more time with the songs that they had just written.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, I have to see that at some point myself, evidently. Then, just give me 1 second here. I had like another good question here that I saw in the chat.
Although I will say, I
which
think you're
was-
a fan of Yellow Submarine, aren't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I sent you. Did you watch the little screen test I sent you?
Yeah, I saw. I was like thinking, well, dodged the bullet there.
Dodged the
Totally
bullet
different.
there, yeah.
Yeah. But getting back to the chat questions, Ghostwriter wonders, why was Iron Fist a miscast? He was played by Finn Jones, if memory serves me correctly. Did any of you see Iron Fist the series?
I watched like 1 or 2 episodes and I checked the fuck out.
Did you think that Finn Jones was a good, charismatic choice for a lead?
No, but I'll tell you what's going to happen is that they're going to bow to the pressure. I guarantee you Iron Fist is going to be Asian.
That could be. That I don't know.
I mean, I saw the whole series a few years ago because I was like really into all the
Martial arts.
the Netflix Marvel shows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so was I, but sadly only half of them were any good.
and Iron Fist really was bad.
Yeah,
I mean, it got
dreadful.
that whole season was just, and
And
I
whatever
don't
was
wanna-
going on with that kind of echoed into the Defenders because I watched like 1 episode of that and I was like,
I didn't even
fuck
watch
this.
that. Yeah, by then
the
I was done.
only reason that I even saw the Defenders was that it's necessary to see it because that is what ties Daredevil Season 2 to Daredevil Season 3. It assumes you have seen the Defenders in between, so unfortunately you kind of like have to have it in there. But the beauty is that you can perfectly just watch Daredevil Season 1, Daredevil Season 2, the Defenders, have it make sense, and then skip straight to Daredevil Season 3 and never talk about the Defenders ever again.
But now it doesn't matter, so.
Now it doesn't matter anymore, but yeah.
It just doesn't matter.
But the point then is, why was Iron Fist a miscast? Well, I can tell you. Because Jeff Loeb, who headed up Marvel TV, I don't know exactly what happened, but he was extremely lucky in who he hired to do Daredevil. He knocked it out of the park with the creative team behind their Daredevil. But with the other series, he didn't knock it out of the park as much, and especially not in two instances where he really blew it. Those two would be Iron Fist, and they would be the Inhumans. And for both of them, he hired Scott Buck. Now, Scott Buck, you've heard me talk about him before. As where TV showrunners is concerned,
Scott Buck
Scott
likes
Buck.
to fuck up TV shows.
Scott Buck, he is Ryan Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, Amy Pascal, the worst of J.J. Abrams, the worst of Ove Boll. Who else do we have that's complete incompetent? The worst of Tom Rothman at his worst, and everything else you can think of that's completely inept and incompetent, all rolled into one.
That's Scott
That's
Buck.
Scott Buck. And Scott Buck was the one that wrote and cast Iron Fist. And if you give Scott Buck that kind of power, you just know you're going to fail miserably. I mean, just look at Inhumans. That was Scott Buck. And that thing is unwatchable. And that's because of him. And he also did Iron Fist, and he cast Iron Fist. And I don't know exactly what he was thinking, but he was able to find someone who, I'm not saying that Finn Jones shouldn't be an actor or anything, but he was wrong for that part because he didn't have the necessary charisma, he didn't have the necessary humor, he didn't have the right athletic build, and that may be related to why he didn't want to work out and do the martial arts scenes that were needed. And he was just way too whiny in public and anything. So he just wasn't the guy. They cast the wrong guy. Simple as that. It happens sometimes. And with Scott Buck, it happened over and over and over again.
Yeah. Melvin Belliard asks Andre, I think Kazar was more of a Tarzan ripoff than Conan. Or
that of course is true. He is more of a Tarzan ripoff, but he's the closest to a Conan-like character that Marvel has of their own, at least to my awareness. So if they're gonna replace Conan with anyone for a hypothetical Savage Avengers series that will never happen, then Kazar is the most natural fit to replace him with, unless they conjure up a replacement Conan. I mean, that certainly wasn't beyond what Kevin Smith wanted to do, or like the Motu guys. I mean, like, how many Conan ripoffs did they have? I'm sure Marvel could do another if they wanted.
Yeah. All right. So, what else is there here?
And Mark Molino wondered if...
Sorry. Go ahead and
yeah,
get
that's
that
all
back.
Right. Well, we'll do the super chat first.
Okay, sure. Tennille sends in another $5. Thank you so much. Says, going to Machete's taco joint for the first time later today, Paulie, even though it means going to Santa Monica, which, yuck. Any recommendations for him? And let me guess, Paulie's not there. He's probably on the phone. So let's grab your other question. When Paulie gets back, we'll re-ask this. How's that sound?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, so go back to your
so
other
then
question.
in the meantime, Mark Molino asks, have you guys seen the Superman and Lois Season 2 trailer? I have not. Have you, Tom?
No, I've still yet to watch the show at all.
Yes. I've seen the
I know
first
Paulie's
few
seen the
episodes.
show, so I mean, he might have something to say about it when he gets back, but...
Yeah, no, I've seen the first few episodes, and those were really, really good. I hope that the rest of season one was as good. I haven't seen the trailer for season 2, but I hope it continues to be as good. And speaking of that, you want to hear another rumor that I heard? HBO Max are developing another Superman series, but about Superman's sons. His gay son, like Jonathan Kent. So this is very, very early days, and it may not happen, but apparently, gay Superman series in development.
Lord Almighty. So we'll have black Superman, gay Superman, and semi-regular Superman,
Yeah,
unleaded Superman,
well, we shall see.
or unsteel Superman. I don't know.
We shall see. And then we have Pat Finch, who says, "Thanks, I've read Savage Avengers 5 and 6, and I've enjoyed the comic series, and they're bringing in the Punisher, Deadpool, and Venom. So I was wondering if Marvel work on a deal." No, not for that. I don't think it can be done, not as long as the Netflix Conan series is in development. Can't be done. And I see many are wondering about Deborah Ann Wool, if they'll bring her back. I would love it if they did. I thought that she had great chemistry with both Charlie Cox and with John Bernthal. So I hope that they bring her back. But who can say? At this point, I don't think that any kind of offer would have gone out to her. But you never know. You never know if they might bring her back. Since she had so great chemistry, I honestly would not be surprised. And Stony D says that I wish they could get Ben Affleck to cross over with Charlie Cox. It would be hilarious if he made a cameo in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
That's true, but I don't know. I mean, it would be I'm not saying he wouldn't be above doing it at all. He's got a sense of humor like that. Clearly.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It would be hilarious. We have heard very little about it. It would be hilarious if they were able to bring in Ben Affleck's Daredevil and Dolph Lundgren's Punisher and Tom Jane's Punisher and all of that. It would be hilarious. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Is you back yet, Paulie?
No, I don't think that he is back just yet.
I just want to check here. All right. We'll get back to that super chat here in just a moment.
Yeah.
When Paulie is back. Let's see what else we have. We got Peter Smigelski, who sends in $20. Says David Tennant as the Purple Man has been hands down the best Marvel villain to date. I also said as a member chat that if you find the right replacement for Wolverine, it could work, i.e. Heath Ledger, Jack Nicholson.
Well, of course, if you find the right cast.
Yeah.
I mean, there's many reasons why you could and should recast Wolverine. Yeah. Because
I'm sorry,
Hugh Jackman, he did awesome with him, but that doesn't mean that no one else can play him. It doesn't mean the character needs to be retired.
Yeah.
But you have to find someone more Bob Hoskins looking this time.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sorry we missed that member chat. Speaking of, we had one from Ben Wade, the nice gunslinger who wants you to say Frankensteinian. Ugh.
Actually, we can. I can do that in conjunction with the super chat on screen right now. Sure. Peter Smigelski, he brings up David Tennant. You know what David Tennant is going to be playing next? He'll be playing Willie Fogg. Now, long-time viewers will remember that we spoke. Did I say Willie Fogg? I meant Phileas Fogg. Phileas Fogg in Around the World in 80 Days. 8-episode miniseries. Coming to British screens in early January, I believe. That series is going to be a Frankensteinian abomination, I guarantee you. And also, Dark Scipio says that a real-life German barbarian actor should be cast as Conan the Barbarian. Actually, we tried that once before. If you check out the 1997 live-action series Conan the Adventurer, so not the animated series of the same name, they did find a real-life German barbarian bodybuilder actor in Ralph Müller, who played Conan. It was an awful series, and he was absolutely dreadful. If anything, you should find a real-life Scottish barbarian actor, because to do Conan really, really right, he shouldn't be German. Conan isn't Germanic. He's Proto-Celt, which basically means like Scottish, Irish, thereabouts. In terms of ethnicity, think Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill is kind of like what you're looking for there. The Black Irish phenotype with the blue eyes and black hair. That's what Conan is. Yeah.
All right. And then we had Warwolf with a super chat for $5. Thank you for being a member. Says, I've seen the trailer and my book should be coming to conclusion in a few days.
Awesome.
Can't wait to have that done. I can try to get it published. I plan on having you and some other people who have been messaging me about their projects. Hopefully we'll be doing something on Midnight's Edge soon, after dark for that soon, to help you guys get the word out there about that. Then Neil had another one while we're still waiting for Polly to get back. He says, stop, Andre. Saying all those unholy names summons the demon. But the demon is the one in Doomcock's lair. He seems nice. Actually, never mind. Proceed.
No. Well, here's like the thing, though, that if you say Scott Buck, that's like a good way of saying many demonic names all rolled into one. So yeah, I see what you're saying.
Don't say his name backwards.
Yeah. And not in front of a mirror or 3 times in a row.
I think we're caught up on super chats then, except for the one Paulie has to answer. And I really wonder what he's up to. He's probably
well, maybe he had to go out with the dogs or something.
That
but
too.
in the meantime, we had the Shut Up Wesley story.
Yes, let's do that real quick. So what's going on with Wesley?
Yeah, what's going on with Wesley? You tell us.
I don't know. You tell me. You told me.
Well, I forgot. I told you, so I would have to remember.
Oh, well, he says he told Dave Chappelle to sit down and shut the fuck up.
Oh, yeah, that was it. Well, so you see that one quickly.
Well, didn't he say he called him something else, too? He called him...
Yeah, he did. No,
let's see if I can find the story here.
Yeah, no, it's in Bounding Into Comics. So I'll send you the link here because I thought it was hilarious that here you have someone that's just desperate for attention in any way, shape, or form you can get it.
I got it already. So, coming from Bounding, Will Wheaton calls Dave Chappelle a bigot and a piece of shit after Netflix announced the comedian will headline Netflix is a Joke Festival.
First of all, we have to give Netflix massive kudos for standing by Dave Chappelle.
Well, they almost have to, because if they didn't after the Cooties thing, then
yeah, that would be bad for them. But for whatever the reason, they're standing by him, and kudos for that.
And for those who don't know, Netflix is a Joke is an actual YouTube channel, so I'm sure it has something to do in tying with that, where they put a bunch of comedians on doing stuff all the time. Star Trek host Will Wheaton. Star Trek host? What the fuck? Will Wheaton targeted Dave Chappelle in recent social media. I don't know where do you get that one from, John? I don't know. I'd call him former actor at the best. I mean, I guess he does host that after show or whatever. So you're probably right about that, I guess. Targeted Dave Chappelle in recent social media post calling the comedian a bigot after it was announced that Chappelle would headline Netflix is a Joke Festival. Wheaton took to Facebook where he shared Rolling Stone article announcing that Chappelle would headline Netflix's comedy festival. He then proceeded to comment on an announcement, writing, absolutely disgusted every single comedian who is on this bill should withdraw unless and until the despicable bigot is uninvited. Oh, look at Mr. Cancel Culture here himself. Any comedian who is a part of this should be ashamed of themselves. Netflix may not believe in holding this piece of shit to account, but you will have to live with yourselves and the choices you make to perform with him. He continued, well, and you have to live with the choices you make and the words you say, dipshit. He will then...
Those words may come back to haunt him.
He then concluded the post, and fuck everyone at Netflix who is a part of this. Trans rights are human rights and words matter. Now, Will... you don't deserve those shoes, just saying.
I think it's like that's mighty big words for a white guy.
He didn't stop there, yeah. 12 hours later, an important follow-up thought, it's very easy for me to sit in my chair and issue edicts about what other people should do. That's presumptuous, and it overwhelms a larger point that I made in a comment here, which is also in its own post. I would draw an outburst, and I regret saying it, like I don't know if anyone cares, like I guess I do, and I want to own it, he stated. So what the fuck is he saying? Is he...
Well, I'll tell you what he's saying. His agent freaked the fuck out and came running to him and said, "What are you doing? Walk it back right now." That's what happened.
Oh my God. Yeah, he's like, "You're attacking a black man, Einstein." He goes, "For anyone who genuinely doesn't understand why I feel as strongly as I do about people like Chappelle making transphobic comments that are passed off as jokes, I want to share a story that I hope will help you understand and contextualize my reaction to his behavior. One night I played a couple of hours of pickup with some really great dudes. They were friendly, they were funny, they engaged in the game. They treated me like I was part of their team. They welcomed me," he recounted. "After we finished, we were all in a locker room getting changed into our regular clothes. Why does it stop there?
Yeah, what the hell is he going rambling about?
Wheaton then paused his story to discuss comedy and his love for it. Okay. Before I tell you what happened next, I want to talk specifically about comedy and how much I loved it when I was growing up. I listened to records and watched comedy specials whenever I could. One of the definitive comedy specials for me and my friends was Eddie Murphy's Delirious from 1983. It had bits that still kill me, he relayed. The ice cream song, Aunt Bunny falling down the stairs, Mom throwing the shoe, really funny stuff. However, then he wrote, there's also extensive homophobic material that is fucking appalling and inexcusable. Long stretches of his comedy are devoted to mocking gay people using the slur that starts with the F word over and over and over. Now, I'm not excusing what Eddie said, Will, but you said it yourself. He said it in 1983. It's 2021. And I doubt Eddie Murphy feels the same way. In fact, it's people like you that have caused him to come out and say, yeah, I apologize for saying that shit. It's like he was a kid at the time and nobody knew shit about shit then. You know, whatever. Young Will, who watched this with his suburban white upper middle class friends in privileged bubble, thought it was the funniest, edgiest, dirtiest thing they'd ever heard. It killed him, he recalled. Oh, so you're feeling guilt because you laughed at it. Gotcha. And all of it was dehumanizing to gay men. And all of it was cruel. And all of it was bigoted. All of it was punching down. And I didn't know any better. He wrote, I accepted the framing and I developed a view of gay men as predatory, somehow less than straight men. Absolutely worthy of mockery and contempt. Always good for a joke, though. No, that sounds like a you problem, Will.
It does. It really, really does.
I, within complete context, have listened to Delirious and Raw. I couldn't tell you how many fucking times because I can recite the motherfuckers word for word, right? But I can't now because there's words I could never say. But point being, I knew then, as I know now, that was a different time. Eddie wasn't thinking, the way we do now. They didn't even, and especially when he got onto subjects like AIDS, like they didn't even know shit about AIDS then. And in fact, because of people like Fauci, there was a lot of misconceptions out there about it. So
because of that guy, there's still no cure. But anyway.
Yeah, that's my point exactly. So if you really want to get into this, Will, there's a much bigger conversation to be had here. But anyway, he continues. Let me put this to you in another way. A comedian who I thought was one of the funniest people on the planet totally normalized making a mockery of gay people. And because I was a privileged white kid, raised by privileged white parents, there was nobody around me to challenge that perception. You know what else is funny about that story about Eddie Murphy? If you missed the context, they also tried to cancel him way the fuck back then. Anyway, Wheaton then blamed the comedy special for his own behavior. For much of my teen years, I was embarrassingly homophobic, and it started with that kind. No, see, you. This is a you problem, Will.
I think it's like so.
You problem, Will.
And what really annoys me is that people that say that, oh, I was so bigoted at one point in my history, then why are you so judgmental right now? Like, he obviously had to go through a journey. Maybe others have to go through that journey as well. Why are you so intolerant and ununderstanding or so ununderstanding of that? Maybe you could help them along to see the light as you have, rather than just judge and condemn.
You know what's funny about this is he's telling this story, and nobody's going to go after him like they did with Liam Neeson, because they'll miss the complete point of Liam Neeson's story, but they'll sit there and get behind Will Wheaton. You watch.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like he is someone that proves his allyship on a weekly basis. So like he's cool, I guess.
But it sounds to me like he's a bigger piece of shit in the end, because I can at least see, Liam is talking about a whole life experience that he went through and a big life change, and then everybody just keyed on one thing, and it's like, dude, you're missing the whole fucking point of that story. Right? Like, and Will's trying to have his own moment here, and it's like, whatever. Do I even really want to continue reading this or not?
Nah.
All right,
I think
we've given him more than enough fucking.
I mean,
I think we got the point.
hey, I'm back, guys.
Welcome.
I missed the article, but from what I gather, he's talking about his own. What?
His own uneducated ass being guilty, so he's trying to take it out on Dave Chappelle.
Oh,
that's the short version.
Yeah, pretty much. That about sums it up.
Because he is feeling guilty for laughing at Eddie Murphy as a child, and he is blaming Eddie Murphy for him being a homophobe. When all I got from this is, guess what, kids? Will Wheaton's a big homophobe. Just saying. But we did have a question for you, Paulie, to change the subject, unless anybody else had anything to say about it.
Yeah, we've been waiting for you to return.
I'm back.
Tennille here is going to Machete's taco joint for the first time later today. He's probably there already, considering this.
Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. He goes, even though it means going to Santa Monica, which, yuck, any recommendations for when he goes to Machete's taco joint?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I would stay away from, honestly, I'm not a fan of their tacos. They're kind of dry. So if you're gonna get the tacos there, get the chicken. I recommend the fried chicken burrito, however, is outstanding. And
fried chicken burrito.
Oh my God. But here's the thing too, is that they have other locations. So if you're going to Santa Monica, you might as well, and you don't want to, you might as well go to the location on La Brea in Midtown. That's the first one. That's Danny's first Trejo's Tacos. So I would go to the one located on La Brea in Midtown, and it's that one's actually both a drive-through and a walk-up. Pretty amazing.
There you go.
Right.
Thanks for the $5.
Yeah. Well, now you can go get some tacos from Danny that you don't like. We'll get the fried chicken burrito.
You want to know what I'm eating right now?
You gonna send me a fried chicken burrito?
I can send you one.
I don't know how well it would last, but what are you eating right now?
What I Romy brought home last night a wonderful chile verde carnitas burrito.
Nice.
And it's so big that there's a lot left over. So what I did is I scrambled an egg and put it on top and reheated the burrito all together. And that's it's just amazing right now. I highly recommend a leftover burrito for breakfast. Put an egg on top of it.
Well, sounds nice. And Tom, we had a question from you. Mohammed Saeed says, Tom, did you read Gunslinger Spawn issue 1?
No, I haven't had a chance to yet. I haven't even got my hands. I still got to get. I'm still so way behind. I'm like behind an issue of TMNT Ronin, and that was the only new thing I've been buying. But I'd heard a lot of good things about this. Maybe I'll pick it up if I get a chance to, if I ever find it. But I don't live in an area with a lot of comic shops, so I usually got to hit eBay or order stuff online, which anymore has become really difficult. It feels like, unless I'm just not. I don't. My main shopping area is like Amazon, though. So, but no, I've heard good things about it. That reminds me, I should probably get some of the original runs. Of course, they're probably expensive as fuck now.
No, not in paperback.
Well, yeah, there might be some collections, yeah.
Yeah.
But I like to get
if you want your original issues, then
yeah, I like to when I can.
Hell,
but if I have to deal with collection, I will.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I just I got Dune real cheap. The first book
The
on sale
book
from
or
Amazon.
comic adaptation?
No, the
book?
book. Well, I've got the comic adaptation, but I mean, no, the book. But there is supposed to be a
Okay,
new
cool.
comic adaptation coming out too.
No, it has come out already.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. Long
I
time
love
ago.
the I love the Audible of Dune.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good on Audible. I mean, the guy who narrates those the Dune audiobooks is the same guy who does all of them, the entire series.
Yeah.
I hope they paid him well because like he spent years of his life narrating all of that. But yeah, no, he nailed it. He knocked it out of the park on everyone.
Yeah, they had some deal on Amazon with a bunch of stuff that was like you buy, like I think it was $25 worth, and you got $5 off. And they had like the Dune book, and I got Where the Sidewalk Ends, and a couple other things. Like, and it was like, yeah, $5 off or whatever. So it was like, in the end, I got it for pretty cheap.
Yeah, I got the Dune one, and they offered the new Trejo book.
Oh, there you go.
That was
Getting
pretty
signed
cool.
by his ass.
No,
get a
the
bunch of
Audible.
them.
Yeah. Well, not
Oh,
it's difficult
gotcha.
to get the audiobook signed, but like the paper copy, yeah.
You should get a bunch of the regular ones and get them signed. Yeah.
Well, you know what? In LA, let's talk about this. But he's always like, signing stuff. Like he's at. I
Yeah,
think
we
he's
should
at
get
something.
some. We need to talk about some things. Yeah.
Right.
Joey says, interesting, Andre. So is Zardoz the closet we've ever got closest?
The
I'm so
closest.
sorry. Jesus Christ. We've ever gotten to the correct.
No, he's the closest you've gotten to Conan's granddad. He was the one who was traveling and inspired him to travel.
Shit. What is best in life? All right, but yeah, we got to talk about that a little bit, Paulie. I got some ideas. We had quite the moment last night. That was pretty funny. Warwolf sends in $5 more. It says, so what did I miss on Conan and the Savage Avengers? Is he leaving Marvel or something? Also, to quote Picard, shut up, Wesley. And Andre will answer this better, but yeah, we could just cover it a little bit earlier about it. You can recap that too, probably.
Yeah. As far as I know, the Conan comic book license is still Marvel's for the time being. I know that they have like a new King Conan 6-issue miniseries. I don't know right now the future of the Savage Avengers, how long that run is gonna be. So I don't know. I don't know how long Marvel's gonna hang on to Conan. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, and otherwise we were just answering a question about will we get a Savage Avengers show or movie or whatever from the MCU, and we said probably not.
Yeah, that's probably not, as in no way in hell.
Not
But
with
yeah.
Conan anyway.
Can I
Yeah,
say
not
something
with
really
Conan.
quick about
Sure.
Bernthal?
Yeah, go for it.
Bernthal. I mean, it's great that he's so invested and he's a part of that production. I mean, one of the cool things he said, I remember, when talking about The Walking Dead, he was like, that the best thing I ever did was get killed off. He cares about every character and every project that he plays.
Yeah.
He's,
Yeah, but
he's
that's
kind of a
good. Like,
throwback.
I like that kind of passion in actors, especially when you inhabit a character that's pre-existing, a character that already has a following, like the Punisher. I really, really like his commitment to that. This has to appeal to police and law enforcement. I mean, that kind of commitment is unlike anyone who has previously played the character. I mean, everyone who did the Punisher before, they have all done well. They've all brought something great to their interpretation. But he's like the first one that's like, this has to appeal to police and law enforcement. They have to recognize themselves in this.
Andre?
He's the first one to
Well, he's
do this.
he's that throwback like him and David Ayers.
If I can
a couple
interrupt
other
for a
guys.
moment, one of our toxic femme are in the chat, and she needs a wrench.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Miss
I said-
Mandy Summers is in his house.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Hey, Mandy, how's it going?
I was trying to get her for our Zoot Suit talk tonight, but
Zoot.
she's too busy.
I gotta watch that yet. Shit.
She's too busy for us.
What time are we doing that? 7:30.
7:30 your time. But Mandy, it's still open, the offer, if you want to join us. But you need to see at least like some of the movie.
There. Mandy Summers now has a wrench.
You have been given a wrench. I didn't have nothing else other than that.
Yeah, and if you
Oh, I was just saying that, you know, like David Ayer and, you know, Barenthal and a couple other, you know, celebrities and directors, you know, you always see them on Twitter or Instagram, you know, paying respects to vets, you know, or, you know, like, you know, when the 80th anniversary of Pearl Harbor, like, you know, Bernthal was, you know, given props. I mean, he, you know, it's nice to see that from the celebs, not, you know, not just one or two, but more than that. So
yeah,
that's a good,
not just pointless virtue signaling.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I agree.
No, yeah. So yeah, we've got Double Back again, who sent us money. I believe this was during the Will Wheaton subject. Who said, literally giving you money to change the subject.
Well, topic changed. So yeah,
I'm sure Dave Chappelle would be like, "Shut up, Wesley."
Actually, he
Shut
would
the fuck
be.
up.
No, he would be like, who?
Yeah, who? That white boy from Star Trek? I don't watch that shit.
Oh, you mean that
Yeah.
little? You mean that little motherfucker from
The little
Stand By Me?
homophobic bastard? Yeah, I know him.
From Stand By Me.
Oh, that movie?
and Mandy, if you're still there, I sent you the link if you have the opportunity to hop in and join us.
Come and join
So
us.
Mr. Tickletrunk says, Will Wheaton never watched the special, just like everyone else calling Chappelle names. He's a perpetually uninformed finger-wagger whose attitudes stink. Or whose attitude stinks. I agree. 110% Mr. Tickletrunk, but since we were paid to change the subject, I'm just going to say that and move on. But we love you, sir.
But he actually paid us more to bring it
did,
back.
But you know, but he's also a wrench, so I'm sure he'll be like,
Andre, I was thinking this. Andre said what I was thinking.
Then Tennille just summarizes what Will had to say: whiny, whiny, whinge, whinge. Pretty much. Yeah, honestly, no, I think he's saying a lot more than that. I think he's showing his ass, if you ask me. But hey, Primer woke says woke tards often forget that in Delirious, Eddie Murphy literally said that there was nothing wrong with being gay or being friends with a gay person. Yeah, he did say something to that effect. But yeah, it's like he's missing the bigger part of the joke is when they were like literally like coming to the fucking airport to protest his ass and shit. I can't even do the joke of the whole thing because it would get me fucking canceled.
You can't. No,
you can't now. Like that's the thing. Like I could probably get away with do a few of them, but
don't even freaking try because I mean they're gunning for us here. So
absolutely, yeah. Like that's the problem. But like no, it's sad. And then Mandy sent us $2 and says, Andre, Tom, Paulie, heart. Thank you so much, Mandy. We're glad we finally got you a wrench. It's long overdue.
Yay, Mandy.
Now you can finally share things in the chat when you're working. Ram Bam 3000 sends in 20 pounds and says, in Lord of the Rings, Sauron is a Meyer spirit, if I'm saying that right. The Myers are, or then he says it differently here. The Myers are villains from Edgar Rice, so it must be spelled differently there, or maybe from Edgar Rice Burroughs' Pelludicar.
I don't know if it's Pelludicar or Pelludisar. I've only ever seen it written. I hate the letter C for that very reason.
I'm not really familiar with Burroughs' work so much. I mean, I know who he is, but like, you know, yeah. Anyway, when Marvel created the Savage Land from Pellucidar, Pellucidar. Okay, Pellucidar sounds like it might be more right. But I'm probably wrong. They named one of the Mars Sauron for a giggle. See, yeah, that's
okay. Yeah, there you go.
You can't really copyright a name like that necessarily.
Yeah, no, exactly. But anyway, Rambam, thank you for that story. I didn't know, but it only goes to. But I was kind of right when I said that in Marvel they do have like a tendency of like taking older characters and recycle them, or not just recycle, but also like license. Like for instance, Fu Manchu. Sax Römer's Fu Manchu dates back to 1912, 14, thereabouts.
Yeah.
And they still used him in the 1970s to spawn Shang-Chi.
Fu Manchu. Mecha J sends in $5 and says, Will Wheaton says Dave is a bigot, but his post only reveals that he is the real racist bigot. Yep, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, Natasha is pointing out that he's getting ratioed on Twitter.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
I
we've
did
been
too,
paid
but
to change
hey.
the subject, but I have strong thoughts on that. But change the subject. I do want to give a shout out to one of the supporter in the community, Elijah Snow, who's been working long hours and a great supporter of ours. I just want to give him some props and love, and take care, man.
All right. To Neil89 sends in $2 and says, "Thanks, Paulie. I'm in Brentwood, though."
If you're in Brentwood, yeah. I mean, if you're in Brentwood, why are you hating on Santa Monica? I mean,
Well,
Brentwood
isn't that
is
the way
like
it usually works?
Well, yeah, because Brentwood's like the nice northern part compared to Santa Monica.
Grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah.
How nice are the Polly? How nice are those areas right now? Like after the lockdowns and everything.
Those are the wealthiest areas. Some of the wealthiest areas in the state. That's where a lot of they're fine.
Okay, yeah. They're fine. Yeah, that's
they're
what
fine.
You're saying.
They're
and
fine. The hardworking people of Los Angeles make sure that they're fine. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a system they'll never stop.
Yeah.
And
tax is wonderful. You mean?
There you go.
Yeah. Well, good. Enjoy your tacos.
Yeah.
But if you listen, okay, all right, here we go. God, all right. Danny Trejo, he didn't hear this. If you're in Brentwood and you're gonna go to Santa Monica, I recommend going to Gilbert's El Indio restaurant.
Run by Gilbert Gottfried himself. Welcome.
Gilbert's El Indio restaurant on Pico Boulevard is amazing. Get the you can either get the carne asada plate,
Pico de Gallo on Pico Boulevard.
Mm-hmm. Or get the Super Mule burrito. Oh my God, Andre! They have a green chile cut in half with green sauce on top of the burrito.
Food you'll ever find.
Yeah, so
nice.
I actually, I love Trejo, man, but I got other places I'd rather go to as far as.
I wonder if there would be like market for like a Norwegian restaurant there.
Absolutely,
like moose burger and whale beef. I think there would be market for that.
I think in LA it would be the next wave. Yeah, the next thing.
I was up for the pot of machete, but they said I didn't have the right face.
Oh, thanks, Natasha. It's run by a great family, the Rodriguez family. And those are the ones. I mean, listen, it's only one restaurant, Gilbert El Indio. I've been eating there since I was a kid. So, and they have enchiladas también. They got great menus. They got Tom, they have a sauce. It's I know I just screwed my He'll be fine, man. It's called the Diablo sauce. It's a special made in-house sauce.
Sounds hot, and I won't eat.
Yeah, garlic, green chili sauce. Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't know. That might be too hot for me. I'd try one bite and I'd be like, run away. Warwolf asks, have any of you read the Anna Dracula books? No, I haven't. I'm familiar with Dracula.
I've read the original Dracula, of course, but Anno Dracula, never even heard of.
No. Yeah, I'm very
Only Dracula book I've ever read is the original.
Bram Stoker's.
Yes.
Sorry, guys.
No.
Go. Or someone asked what I was eating. I apologize.
Oh.
I apologize. It's just the last of the chips and the salsa.
He's been eating the whole show. Paul Elder, I'm the only one who hasn't ate this show. Andre was eating in the beginning. You're eating now. I'm just sitting here. When we get done, I'll finally get to eat. Paul Elder says the Dune audiobook House Atreides was read by Tim Curry. Oh, cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
His Baron Harkonnen is the best take on such a
I
complicated... Oh, I can
believe
imagine.
that.
Wow.
Oh my God!
Right?
Imagine if we ever had gotten Tim Curry in his before his current condition playing the Baron Harkonnen. How amazing would not that have been?
It would have been amazing.
I wish I hadn't learned that.
Tim
because
Curry
now,
can play anything. Like, Tim Curry can play anything.
I know, but him as a Baron Harkonnen, what a dream casting.
No, he's clearly one of the greats, the all-time greats. I mean, from Frankenfurter to, you know, the legend.
For audio though,
Oh, he's got a great fucking voice too.
good voice.
He's got an amazing voice.
Absolutely.
What's his story now? Is he still alive?
Sadly, he had a stroke a while back. He's doing better.
He does. Maybe we should reach out to him. Because
I
he
was
does,
thinking
like,
the same
podcast
goddamn
appearances and
thing,
stuff.
Andre. Saw him the other day. I saw some interviews with him. I'm like, maybe we can reach out to him now.
Yeah, let's do
We
that.
totally
Because I'd love to talk to him about his career. I mean, he's done all sorts of shit.
I do the dance. I do the rock. Yeah, I want to talk about Clue. I love that movie, Clue.
Yeah, there's Clue. Yeah, there's so many things he's been in. This.
He was great in Annie. They did Annie.
Yeah, he was in Annie. Yeah.
He's a street.
He was the best part of Home
It?
Alone Part 2.
Yeah, right?
Well, he was Pennywise too, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
yeah, I mean, and I love to talk. I loved asking Tommy Lee about the casting process that they got to Tim. He's like, Tim was just it. You know, he got it.
He's in
Yeah.
Congo?
Yeah, he was in Congo as well. Yeah. Of course he's in Congo. It's the greatest movie ever made, isn't it? Made by our buddy.
God, he was in Hunt for Red October. Wow.
Oh, Tim's in a lot of shit, man. He was amazing. He could play good, he could play bad, he could play funny, he could play dramatic, he could play Frankenfurter. Like, he could do everything.
He was
I just
great in
remember
Oscar, like one of Sylvester
yeah.
Stallone's most
Yeah.
underrated movies.
You're
is
right.
a
His
great
range is just nuts. I just remember him in Annie.
He
Him
was
in,
even a singer. He had his own
what was-
a couple albums and shit too, I think.
You know, let's not forget him in
That's what I was
Legend.
singing. I was singing his. Didn't he appear on Saturday Night Live years ago? And he sang, "I do the rock, I do the something."
Yeah. Well, I thought, yeah.
No.
Yeah, like he had like other like serious albums too, I think too. Like, just
No,
actually-
that's a serious song.
no. It sounded a lot like one of his kind of goofy ones, but okay.
No,
I know some of them are
it's
comedy,
it's kind of like a sexy rock song.
Yeah, I was gonna say some of his songs are kind of like whatever, but they're kind of in that vein. But
Well,
no, he's great.
He also kind of like you know bended a lot of norms. He's amazing.
Exactly, as I've said many times before. Guess what, kids? It's all been done before. Rocky Horror Picture Show was in 1975.
Yep.
It's like, oh Jesus.
And he was he was our everyone loved him, everyone. But we can't that doesn't count because it wasn't
Nope,
before
doesn't count.
2016.
They had to race swap him in the reboot on Fox. Hyperguyver 2 says the Punisher should not appeal to the police or military. That's Captain America's role. The Punisher exists where the law has failed.
Actually,
you're not.
Here's like the thing, though. Well, Tom, carry on. And
I was saying
give
you're
my
not
opinion.
totally wrong, but I think that's why him and Daredevil work so good together. Is they kind of both have similar goals, but they go at them in different ways.
Yeah.
Right?
And,
Go ahead.
and
Sorry.
also, what I was about to say is that, you are absolutely right. Captain America, he is the one who should appeal to the executives in the military, and as well as the soldiers, and also to the police captain and everything like that. However, the everyone on the street, and in the police, those who arrest rioters only to see them released bailed out by what's her face, your VP, moments afterwards. They are the ones who are doing the thankless job. They are the ones who Frank Castle has to appeal to. Same thing with the vets. that came back and felt that they weren't properly taken care of. They are the ones that have to see themselves in the Punisher. Because it's those aspects. You see, here's like the thing. Captain America, he's the idealist. The Punisher is the gritty side. He's the gritty side of police enforcement. He's the gritty side of being sent out on deployment for something that failed, where the support system for receiving you when you came back just wasn't there. That's the Punisher's role. That's where he has to appeal. And they did that really, really well in The Punisher Season 1, which I did have issues with, but not that particular part of it. Because as you saw, like, it was dealing with the PTSD and everything like that. That is where the Punisher comes in.
No, I agree with that. That's a good point. Mr. Tickletrunk, though, as predicted, says, no, please don't talk about that a-hole anymore. No worries, we're done.
I think we're done until someone sends a bigger super chat.
And I was going to say, and Jesse points out, we're still going. Yes, we're still going for now. We got a couple more super chats, and then I think we're going to wrap this up here. Warwolf says, don't forget about the other Sauron character they made who feeds on mutant life energy. There you go.
All that X-Men characters, I'm completely out of them. So, yeah. It's
like I said, I only know the main ones, right? Like, there's so many of them. Tennille says, disagree. I live throwing distance from the VA. Okay, I'm not sure what he's referring to there.
Yeah.
Maybe a little context. You don't have to super chat again, just add us in the chat.
Oh, I know what he's saying.
Oh, what's he saying?
Oh, he's okay. So, he's in the edge of Brentwood, right next to the VA hospital.
I thought maybe that's what he was talking about, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I love that area. Ohio Street has a great AA meeting, but I digress. Well, dude, yeah. From there you can just go south hop on Bundy, go south to Pico, and there's the restaurant. But just look up Gilbert's.
It's near my place. Yes,
it's near my mom's house. It's actually
my mom's house. My mom lives above the place.
Mama Slant lives next there.
No, Gilbert Godfrey. Anyway, never mind. Joke over. So Stony D has a thing on screen. Did you already address this?
No. I just want to say that Stony D, he got it perfectly. Frank Castle speaks to police and military because he is sex police and military. Many in real life understand his PTSD. That is why exactly. It's a darker side of it.
That's kind of why I like.
He has to appeal not to the brass, like they have to create distance to him, no matter what they may feel in public. It's to those who are actually on the street in the grime. They are the ones that he has to appeal to, and I agree completely with that.
And I mean that, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong because I haven't watched it in a couple of years, but I thought that the Dolph Lundgren version kind of captured some of his. I don't know.
It didn't.
Not that part, but like his.
It captured him being a lunatic that was sitting naked in the sewer.
Well, I was trying to remember
chats with God.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, it has like an air of that, but not exactly the way you would portray it now. Yeah.
Yeah. No, like the only one that really gets that completely right is actually this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I'm not a big fan of the Thomas Jane one, and I liked the Warzone one to a point, but it has some issues. But I don't know. I've never really felt like I've just always felt like the one that I felt like was a lot like my memory of the comics I read growing up anyway, which was not many, but a few, was that Dolph Lundgren run until I saw John Bernthal and Daredevil. So I mean,
so you think that the Dolph Lundgren Punisher reminded you of the comics? Which comics did you read?
I don't know. Just for me, it just
must have been the movie adaptation.
I don't know. To me, like, okay, here's my thing. Like for some, maybe it was just I'll. Here's the thing. I'll admit, like, there's this childhood bias with that film just because I grew up with it for so long. Like that, I'll give you. But I just didn't think Thomas Jane looked like the Punisher. I hated the idea that they killed his entire motherfucking family.
Yeah, that was lame.
Like it was just it was way over the top, and then you got
that
John
movie
Travolta
had the wrong writer and director.
So to me, okay, let me rephrase this. Maybe you'll get it like this. To me, all the Punishers we got up until Bernthal in Daredevil season 2, because I haven't seen anything other than that. like to me, the Dolph Lundgren Punisher is like more closer to like the Fantastic Four with Corman's compared to the other ones.
This is
It
correct.
just feels that way.
Yeah.
Like even though it's not the best representation, it's kind of a off kilter thing. But for some reason, for me, the look, the feel, all that kind of stuff, just it felt like more like the Punisher than the other two.
Yeah.
The other one was too grandiose. Warzone had, too many. I mean, had some really good shit in it, but it also had an equally amount of bad shit with like Jigsaw.
That's the problem. It's Jigsaw that destroys that movie. Like he destroys literally every second he's on screen. He destroys. The villains destroy Punisher Warzone, and that is a shame because I'm a huge Punisher fan. Like I've read almost every single issue of the Punisher ever released.
Yeah,
and the one that honestly got it best, the closest to the comic book Punisher,
is him. Yeah,
that is absolutely
I agree.
right.
Like his stuff on his side,
Stony D even points out, what about Ray Stevenson? Well, Ray Stevenson, in terms of comic book fidelity, he is the best one.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like they captured the character right. I mean, his look is pretty good. For some reason, just to me, Dolph just has the look. And then I love Louis Gossett Jr. in the movie. I mean, some of the plot is kind of here and there wonky, but like the whole kid plot and stuff like that, I mean, it kind of gives the Punisher something to do that isn't just, straightforward, like to where it feels like a Death Wish ripoff. I don't know. It's been years since I've seen it though. So like again, and I've never been that big of a fan of anything we've got on a Punisher because that's the thing is Warzone is like a perfect example because it's like for everything that's good, there's an equal amount of bad. It feels
that's the problem with it. Like it has the best Punisher, but he's in many ways put into the worst movie, and it's so frustrating because Ray Stevenson is so good in it. I really liked what they did with the costume. The score is fantastic. I like the cinematography. I like the coloring. Hate the tone, and the villains utterly destroy it. And also, while we're on that, before we move on,
I was just
Ray Pacelli wonders, what about Dirty Laundry? Have you seen it? Now, for those wondering,
a long time
Dirty
ago,
Laundry, that is a short film. It's a short that was made by Thomas Jane in 2012. It's like 10 minutes long or something, featuring him return to the Punisher for a fan film. It has him, and it has Ron Perlman in a guest cameo. So you saw it a long time ago.
I remember it being all right.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I haven't seen it in decade or whatever since it first came out.
So well, it's less than a decade since it came out. But
when did it come out? Yeah,
2012.
Yeah, okay. So it's been that long since I've seen it. I remember thinking it was all right. I don't think I thought it was like over the. I mean, I remember a lot of people were digging it. Did you? I know you brought it up a couple times, haven't you, Andre?
Yeah, I have. But first, Paulie, have you seen it, Dirty Laundry?
I have not.
Yeah, well, it's a short thing. It's just like 10 minutes long. As for me, personally, I hate it. It only goes to show that Tom Jane had a really warped understanding of the Punisher. In terms of looks and intention and everything, he did good, but he never got the character, I thought. And here, in what was his short, you know what I really hate? Because basically what happens is that it's called Dirty Laundry because it's the Punisher going to the laundromat to like wash his clothes and everything. And outside, he sees like a kid being beaten up, and he sees like a pimp that's beating up his hose. And then he decides that, screw it, I'm going to go do something. So he goes, and he breaks the arms and the legs of this pimp, and then he basically puts everything in place so that the pimp is about to die. All you have to do is to basically drop a lighter or something like that. Like he covers him in spirit or brandy wine, something that's burnable, and he's left there incapacitated. So if you just drop a lighter, he's done for. And then he leaves it to this prostitute that's been beaten by the pimp, so that it's her call if he lives or dies. That is utterly insane. That only goes to show
now
that Tom Jane had no clue about this character and what made him tick. The
Now that you
Punisher
put it that way,
would
yeah.
never have done something like that. He would never have put someone who's been like victimized
victim, yeah.
and put them in a position where they're not thinking straight and they might become a murderer and have to live with that for the rest of his life. He does what he does for two reasons. One, because
Right.
he hates criminals and he just wants to kill them for the joy of it. The other
He's
is
willing to
because
take the
he
risk.
does it so no one else has
Exactly,
to.
yeah.
He takes the option away from others. But here, he's like, you want to kill him? Be my guest. I set the stage for you.
You know what speaks to
That's-
that? I'll tell you right now, Andre. I don't watch a lot of shorts or fan films, but if I don't remember it, that's probably not a good sign. So like, there you go.
Yeah.
Like the few I remember that are even remote, like I remember, and these are official ones though, the Return of the King or whatever, the one short from MCU where it had all the bad guys in the prison, and tells you that what's his face wasn't the real Mandarin. And then the only other thing I remember is the deleted scenes from Ridley Scott's Prometheus that should have been in the movie.
And that is in the fan cut, probably.
Probably. Well, they were shorts that were released before the movie came out. I'm like, why aren't these in the movie?
Oh, yeah, they were put into the movie. I'll hook you up with the version.
You know
that
what
has
I'm
them.
talking about.
Yeah,
Then.
yeah, I know.
Or not Prometheus. Not Prometheus. The other one, the second one.
Oh, that one. Oh, I don't know if a fan cut for that one. I'm better sure there must be.
No, but yeah, no, that's what I'm thinking of. Is when they dropped those scenes because they had the connective tissue between the two, and then they also had the scene they released as like a short that was introduced all the characters, so you actually knew who they were. Because that was one of my biggest complaints of the movie was you didn't know who half these characters were or why you should care, and they give them generic names, and it's just like, yeah, they're supposed to kind of be like the characters in the original film, and that's why I call that movie basically Ridley's cheap ripoff of his own movie. But anyway, we gotta move on here with super chats.
Yeah.
We got one from ST. If I can talk today,
STR
Red Wolf. Blah. Go ahead and read that if you want.
Yeah, it says Moose Burger. Abbey Burger has been Baltimore. Oh, awesome, cool. Yeah, because we have them here and they're delicious.
You get that
Abbey
photo
Burger?
I sent?
Like real moose? Yeah, I got it right now.
Oh, cool.
I've never had moose. I don't know if I could.
Well,
Because a moose could kill me.
Right. That's from our friend Douglas Nelson.
Yeah, Douglas
oh,
Nelson
nice.
does great art.
Very nice. Love it. Love
It's
it.
quick.
You know
man.
what my favorite Douglas art is?
Mm. Did he do that?
Yes. I love
Hey.
Culture's face and
Douglas, we need one for Zootsuit tonight. Oh my God, let me DM him.
For Andre, I doubt you listened to Midnight's Edge After Dark last night.
Well, I do on occasion.
But okay,
When
so I
he's
don't know if you
alerted.
caught this last night.
When he's
But
alerted.
what led to the whole thing with us giving Paulie shit earlier was Culture had let us all be known that he was in a production of West Side Story, and there were plenty of tapes of it that existed.
Oh, is that why you're doing? Oh,
Yes. So we
Oh, I
said,
didn't
well,
hear
we're going to
that part.
premiere our own version.
wow.
West Side Culture. And then when you tell me you had some footage of
We're
you,
gonna do that. We're gonna do the
I'm
fan
thinking
version,
ultimate
combining
cut.
the two.
combine
Ultimate
Paulie's
cut.
footage with his footage. Yes. Now you get where I'm coming from, Andre.
Yeah,
But
nice.
see, Culture was like at first all resisting. He's like, I don't know if there's a tape. I don't know. He's like, all right, I'll look. He's like, you guys are gonna make me call my mom. He's like, or whatever it was. I can't remember. But he's like, I'll get it. So hopefully Culture has it soon, so we can watch that and enjoy it at his expense.
Yeah.
He's a good sport though. So
Well, bring back that Punisher picture. That was brilliant.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Because there you have them all for comparison. To be fair, though, in that picture, the picture of Tom Jane is actually from the teaser trailer and not from the movie proper.
Boom. Here it is. Yeah, that's true. Yep. Now that you
Yeah.
mentioned that. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I wish that John Bernthal spent more time looking like that in the actual Netflix series, though. I have to say, I do like the tactical outfit of the Ray Stevenson Punisher in terms of like the backstory and the origin. The only one to be comic book accurate, Ray Stevenson.
Yeah.
Whereas the
Then-
least comic book accurate was, well, I guess it's divided between Tom Jane and Dolph Lundgren. Now, probably Lundgren has it. Yeah, he's the least away from, or the furthest away.
Name?
Dolph Lundgren. Yeah.
Are you sure? Because I could have. I'm trying to, unless I'm mixing two of them up.
I'm sure.
Is that short for Adolf?
How does it show it happened in the Lundgren?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what happened with Lundgren in his version?
Yeah.
He's just a regular police officer, just a police detective who's investigating the mafia. So they put a car bomb that is aimed at killing him, and instead it kills his family.
Yeah.
That's what happened to him.
Okay, so yeah, it's.
No, actually, I take it back. That's closer to the comic.
I was gonna say, because that's where I was like, "Are you sure?"
Than Tom Jane. Tom Jane is the furthest away from the comic.
I was gonna say, because I could have remembered that. I thought I could have swore that. Yeah, Dolph was a little closer.
It was a little bit less far away than the Tom Jane version. Yeah.
And then Warwolves tells us that Anno Dracula series is by Kim Newman. Amazon has it. Okay.
Okay.
Well, there you go. Must be like an updated kind of version of Dracula, I'm assuming. STR Red Wolf sends in another $2.
Yeah,
we got this one already. Never mind.
Yeah, we got this one.
Just want to make sure we didn't miss any. Okay, so we went backwards there. Okay, here we go. Daryl the Derelict says, "Hi, I'm Will Wheaton. My favorite color is 7." I like that.
Yeah, you do.
That was funnier than any of the jokes in Ghostbusters 2016, folks. Shane Wyrostech says, "I want to see Marvel adapt the Nam comic book for the Punisher."
So do I. I'd love to see that happen. Like Marvel back in like the 80s and 90s, they had this comic book called Nam, which were just stories from like an anthology series, interconnected but anthology of like different teams of soldiers fighting in the Vietnam. And then there were like some recurring characters. And in a couple of specials, those recurring characters met with one Frank Castle, who was also in the Nam. So you had like Punisher and Nam crossovers. And then later on, some of those characters also later in their life made guest appearances in the then contemporary Punisher series, like really like nailing in the Nam collection. I'd love a Nam series from Marvel, which is never going to happen, dealing with Frank Castle. That would be freaking sweet.
There you go. Got a little bit of breaking news, not like uber breaking news, but Duck Nation pointed out that South Park Post-COVID Part 2 premieres on December 16th, kids. So the same night as Spider-Man opened up here in the US.
Yeah, nice.
And then Freakadelic sent in $10, and thank you so much for being a member. Says, "I liked how the Punisher Season 2 had him deal with drawback of his ways. Death of innocent by his hands. Was interested in seeing how he'd get out of that low point. Hated how they undid it and just making it a ruse."
Yeah, they actually dealt with that in the Punisher Warzone as well. And there was no undoing. He really killed an innocent in that movie, and had to deal with that. Well, not an innocent, like an undercover cop, but still. So yeah, that's always like the.
And then Troy Pacelli also asked that as one of his member questions. Sorry, I didn't see that right away, but I see it now from our lovely mods and helpful mods like Mr. Tickle Trunk, who and Natasha and Six and the rest of the crew, who have been making sure we catch those when they come in.
Keeping you on check, man.
Yes. So we appreciate that as well. And thank you so much. Let's see here. What else we got? Freakadelic. We got that one, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Tennille89 says the Punisher equal to or greater than Max Payne. Better.
I'm not familiar with the games, only with the movie, and based on that, better.
Yeah, I never saw Max Payne.
Yeah, that just seemed like a kind of a poor man's Punisher to me. Let's see here. What else we got? I thought we had a couple more come in, like Rod Thunderheart says, "Hail Andre, Tom, and Paulie. Has anyone there played Punisher Punisher PS2 game? Thomas Jane voiced it, and the story was absolutely based on Welcome Back Frank's story, Marvel cameos, and Jigsaw steals Iron Man armor. I remember playing a little bit, but I don't remember if I got very far in it. Did you guys play it all? I don't know
I
about
did.
Andre.
I did. I
Oh,
have
wow,
it.
you did?
Yeah, I did. You didn't see that coming, did you?
Nah, I know you had a PS2, so.
Yeah. No, actually, I have that game. I have it right here. I played it a little bit. I don't like how because it came around the time of the 2004 movie. I don't like how they made one of the villains from that movie into Jigsaw, and I don't like that they had Thomas Jane voice it. The early trailers, they had like some random voice actor that actually sounded like the Punisher, kind of like looks like you'd expect him to sound, and that was so much better. Like, I could never get over the character from the comics suddenly sounding like Tom Jane, who was so far away from it. So to me, that was like a huge uncanny valley, and I really suck at those 3D games, so I never got very far in it. But yeah, I played it.
There you go. Polly at all?
No.
Okie dokie. Mecha J says, what are your guys' thoughts on the Netflix Punisher show? Well, we talked a little bit about it today. I never got a chance to see it. Paulie, did you ever get a chance to watch it?
A couple of the first episodes, it didn't hold my interest, even though I like Marathon. But yeah.
I thought that I'm honestly very disappointed with it, which is why I say that the best was his appearance in Daredevil, because he was like more Punisher-like in that series than he was in his own series. Like, the entirety of those 2 seasons is all about him becoming the Punisher. He's not really the Punisher until like the last scene of the 2nd season. Before then, he's still just someone kind of like finding his way. And at the end of the 1st season, he's basically like quit the entire punishing business. Like, he's over it. And then in season 2, he kind of like has to get back into it. And honestly, I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I prefer season 2 to season 1.
Jillian claims that a moose bit her sister once. I wouldn't doubt it. Moose
bite.
No,
Moose
They're
bite.
like the jaws of the land.
I'm careful with
Werewolf says Anno Dracula is based on What If Dracula Won. Oh, okay.
that. Okay,
Interesting.
cool. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Got you now. Primer says, I'd love a Punisher movie by Quentin. Yes.
Yeah, yes, please. I'd take that. That would be awesome. I mean, if there's like one comic book character that Quentin Tarantino could do, well, actually, there's many.
You know who he likes and who he was going to do?
Zorro?
No, he really wanted to do Luke Cage or Iron Fist.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'd see that too, but the Punisher would be right up his alley.
I would love a blaxploitation Luke Cage and a classic Kung Fu 70s style Iron Fist movie from Tarantino.
Yeah. Oh my god. Like,
that's
he does
racist.
That, like, and he makes
Says
them,
Will Wheaton.
Polly.
Says Will Wheaton. No, Will Wheaton just told
I know.
me.
Just
and make them like grindhouse style.
Yes.
Fake trailers, everything.
Yes.
Oh my god, yes.
Who would you pick as his Punisher? Okay, let's just say in this alternate universe, we got like the Netflix series where all Quentin Tarantino presents Daredevil, Punisher, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. Who would you cast as Quentin Tarantino's Punisher?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't.
Samuel
think of
Jackson. I'm kidding.
I'd bring him back in as Nick Fury. Honestly.
I know, yeah.
But
no, I know he already exists, so like, yeah, it's just a joke. But still,
I can't think of anyone top of my head.
You know, if it was 30 years ago, who I would? Michael Madsen.
Oh, that's a good one. Reservoir Dogs, Michael Madsen, Prime. I was thinking Travolta too in his prime, in his Tarantino
A young
prime.
Travolta, maybe.
Well, somebody said in the chat.
I was thinking this in the 2004 movie. It was like, that was one thing that was annoying me, that Travolta was like looking more like the comic book Punisher than Tom Jane did.
Right. No shit. Look wise, yeah, he's got that. I just don't know if, because here's the thing: whenever Travolta plays, like, I don't know, he's kind of, I don't know if he could play the part. That's my problem. He could look at it.
It's great.
Sizemore would be great too. Yes. Yes.
Woody Harrelson.
No, not for the Punisher.
Not for
Well,
Punisher.
no. What were the other characters?
And Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
And Daredevil.
Oh, well, Iron Fist. He might go with, one of those guys that was in Kill Bill.
I don't think he'd change the race of the character though.
Okay. And then Luke Cage.
Yeah, well, since Samuel Jackson's already used.
Ving Rhames.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Ving Rhames any day.
Hell
Ving
yeah.
Rhames. I'm thinking of the Pulp Fiction cast.
Danny Trejo wouldn't be horrible as the Punisher either. Like years ago, too.
Maybe like 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. When he's younger. Yeah.
It would be a very different.
It would be different, but I
Punisher,
don't think he could. I think he could handle it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really, like.
I'm just also thinking like who Tarantino uses a lot.
That's what I'm kind of trying to think too. Like I'm kind of playing in that.
Kurt
arena.
Russell.
Frank Grillo as Punisher. Well, he's already the Punisher. He's like the Blumhouse Punisher over in the Purge movies.
Yeah. I like Frank Grillo.
Yeah.
Though, when he was younger, yeah.
No, he doesn't know it right now. He'd be a
right
perfect
now
Punisher
still good.
Yeah, that's true.
He'd be a perfect Punisher in 10
Walton
years.
Goggins,
That's a good one.
Yes,
that's a good one.
He could do both, either the Punisher or Daredevil. To be honest with you,
and that reminds me, also who could be a great Punisher for Quentin Tarantino. He just had to work a little bit on his accent as an older Punisher. Peter Stormare.
Okay. Yeah.
But
People
anyway,
going for Ving Rhames, they like that. Chris Evans. Chris Evans is already captain.
Yeah. But moving on.
Everybody likes Goggins, so.
Yeah. Pat Finch wonders, I have a question. As the Affleck Daredevil and the last few Punisher movies were done by... No, the last few Punisher movies were done by Lionsgate.
Yeah, and Daredevil was Fox.
Yeah. So does Sony own the film and TV rights to these Marvel characters?
Nope.
Sony owns... and Sony also had nothing to do with Daredevil. That was Fox. So Marvel, they have the full rights to Daredevil. And they actually got them back before they acquired them. They got in a trade, they for Ego, the Living Planet, or I don't recall the details, but there was some trade in that Fox didn't want to do, and then Daredevil reverted from Fox to Marvel, and that's when we got the Netflix series, because it was reverted to Marvel. So they have everything Daredevil. The Punisher was with Lionsgate.
I think they just let the rights revert, didn't they?
They did. Here's like the funny thing. The first Punisher movie was made by New World Entertainment, and then the rights followed their bankruptcy into Artisan, and it was Artisan that made the 2004 movie, but before that was released, they went under, and their catalog, including the Tom Jane Punisher, was acquired by Lionsgate. The first Punisher movie actually made by Lionsgate was Warzone. And then they let the rights revert back to Marvel, who have had the rights since 2014, 15, thereabouts. So they also have had all the rights there.
There you go. And as Paulie reminds you, we're going to be on his channel doing a retrospective tonight on Zoot Suit. And then at 5 p.m. Central, 7 Pacific time, you can... right? No. Yeah. Wait. Other way around. 3 Pacific time.
Yeah, your 4K shows before.
Yeah, on 4K for you here on this channel.
Mm-hmm.
So check back with that later. Other than that, was there anything else, Andre, we had to touch on quick before?
Did we have any super chat left, or
let's double check, but I don't think we did. I think we're caught up.
I think we were caught up.
But I will double check while you're plugging.
The primer was the last one, so yeah. Then I think we then I think we have them all.
Yeah, I think so. Although
Yeah,
I love that
brilliant.
question. I think we're good.
Yeah.
All
excellent.
right. So check out Latino Slant so you can watch the retrospective tonight. The movie is on Netflix, kids, so if you haven't seen it yet, you can check it out there, right, Paulie?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's on Netflix, and the reason why we're talking about it is as West Side Story is coming out, the real hidden gem of musicals with a Latino background is Zoot Suit. It's just amazing. It's an incredible true story, an American story, and fantastic music that's been around since the 30s. Tom, myself, Robert Meyer Burnett, Mexican Iron Man, we are going to be talking about that movie tonight. And I'm going to bring up Tarantino because I think Tarantino, I have a few ideas as far as, redoing Midnight.
Quentin is the man.
Redoing Zoot Suit. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you,
All
Andre.
right. Awesome. So with that, let's wrap things up.
Yeah, and real quick, we
Yes.
will have new videos on Midnight's Edge Espanol tomorrow morning.
Awesome.
Very cool.
And you're going to
Also-
be seeing... go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just want to say also like one fun fact that I forgot to mention. You know who Lionsgate were in talks with for taking on a Punisher movie before they settled on Warzone? Sylvester Stallone. They were in talks with Sylvester Stallone to direct, write, and star in a Punisher movie.
Yes.
I would not have minded that in the slightest.
I'm coming for you.
So yeah, that happened.
He'd have kicked ass, especially when he's younger.
Yeah, this was like the older, like
Yeah.
like modern day Rambo looking.
Yeah,
body.
I hear you.
But the
I wouldn't be against that either.
The best Punisher comics, and Tom, if you haven't read them or you have to read them, are the Garth Ennis Max Punisher comics about the aging Punisher. I mean, they are the absolute best Punisher comics ever, bar none.
And in this kind of world we live in now, it almost would be fitting if he was older.
Yeah, so like I wouldn't I'd be perfectly okay with like if they didn't bring back Bernthal, then have a 60-something old man play a Punisher who was in Vietnam, and just do like the Max stories. I'd be perfectly okay with that because those are the best stories. I'll hook you up with a few of them if you haven't read them. The one you would really want is the one called The Slavers. To me, that is the single greatest Punisher story of all time.
And we got a member chat from Rod Thunderheart. Says, I love the Punisher comics, appearance in the NAM, but unfortunately he'd be like 70, 80 now. No, not true. It doesn't have to be. My dad was in Vietnam, and he's only in his early 60s, so...
Exactly. So, yeah.
And I could buy Sly as an old Punisher.
60s. Yeah.
And with that, as Warwolf says, here come the warm marsupials. But after I have a little fun with,
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given, koala, koalas in the rain, no fucks given.